Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome back for an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He is the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
And also joining us in studio, friend of the show, fan of the show, hashtag 607 podcast is in the building. You know him as the host of the Three Fat Nerds podcast, co-host of Horror Zone 607, host of 607 TWS on Twitch. Am I missing anything, or did I nail everything there?
Pretty much everything. Probably some other stuff that I'm doing that I don't even know about yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the show the one and only Rich Coriel.
What's up, ODPH Society? I do believe this is a milestone. I do believe this is the first time I've been on this show proper.
Yes, the entertainment edition.
Because I've been on the sports show a bunch of times. I've been on special editions of this show. I've even been in interview segments on this show. But this is the first time I've actually been in studio. So it's kind of awesome. So I'm ready to talk some pop culture and nerdom with the society today. That's fun.
Let's do it. So, yeah, as Rich said, you are listening to the entertainment edition of the ODPH podcast. We would definitely want to interact with you. So remember to swing on over to odphpodcast.com. Join in the conversation on our social media accounts. The links are right there. Check out Parlay Points. New comics blogs dropping this week. And, man, we got a stacked lineup for that. Check out the TeePublic store. All that and so much more is at odphpodcast.com. And always remember to use the hashtag ODPHpod. So kicking off this entertainment edition of the show, we have to recap the amazingness that can only be described as New York Comic-Con 2021.
Yeah.
We returned to the Javits in person for an amazing weekend. We took Rich with us this year. We had our guy Dre Driven with us as well. It was an absolute fun time rocking as press down there, and there was a lot to discuss. If you were following ODPH social media as well as 607 Podcast social media this week, you didn't miss a beat. We covered a lot. But now we kind of have to give our grades, our awards, our what stood out to us that we've had a day to decompress after 4 amazing days of content that only Reed Pop and the Javits can provide. So that being said, let us recap New York Comic Con 2021. And Rich, since you are our guest, we'll let you kick off. Who won Comic Con to you?
Oh, who won Comic Con to me? Well, since you didn't give me the cheap option not to pick that, the Ghostbusters panel won Comic Con. Well, let's be honest.
Yes.
Because I would have to say by far, lots of good news, but by far the biggest news out of there was the fact that we had a surprise screening of the entirety of Ghostbusters Afterlife. So that's pretty awesome in its own. So I'm going to say that was the winner in my estimation. That was the winner overall. Was the wonderful panel that we attended. Myself, you, Dre Driven, Tyler from 30 and Nerdy.
Yes.
We all attended it, and very nice stuff to come out of it. They had pretty much the entire child cast of Ghostbusters there, plus the mother, and then, of course, both Jason and Ivan Reitman and the co-writer of the film as well. So, it was a very informative panel. They said a lot of great, cool things, and then at the end, Jason Reitman shouldn't play professional poker, though.
Yes, he should not.
Because when they asked him to introduce a clip, and he was like, he had this cheesy grin on his face. You knew something was up. And then politely told us, so we've been patient enough. So we waited long enough for the movie, so we were going to see it tonight. And so that was pretty awesome.
It absolutely delivered on that. I think that was my crowning number 1 A grade for Comic-Con. The panel for Ghostbusters Afterlife, if you are not familiar with the iconic movie franchise that is coming back in such a big way this year, the Afterlife show was absolutely captured everybody and really reminded moviegoers that if you became disenfranchised with the Ghostbusters movies, this brought you back.
Oh, absolutely.
In tenfold.
I will not be spoiling anything.
Yes.
The embargo is not a 72-hour embargo. This embargo is, the movie doesn't drop till November 19th, so this is an over a month embargo. I'm sure some other people have already spoiled this movie out there, which is terrible because I think this movie should be watched unspoiled. So avoid all spoilers, especially if you're a fan.
Listen, I'll spoil the shit out of it. Jar Jar Binks shows up.
Well, Padawan J was not there, so there was no Jar Jar sightings.
Yes.
And then also, I don't think Ghostbusters is owned by Disney. That would have been great, though.
The mouse owns everything.
How great would it be if accidentally you gave away the ending of the movie?
That'd be wild.
Pat had a bootleg.
That'd be wild, and you'd have to let me know off air so that I could go buy a lotto ticket.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, that doesn't happen, so don't buy a lotto ticket. But all I will say is the way I've boiled it down to everybody who's asked me, if you are not a fan of Ghostbusters, this is still a good movie. Mm-hmm. It was a very entertaining movie, even if you weren't a fan. Now, if you are a fan of Ghostbusters, this is what you wanted to see. And I've said it, this is probably the greatest love letter to fans of all time.
I agree.
And the only spoiler I will give you is stay in your seats because there's not one but two. There's a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. So make sure you stay in your seats because it's very important that you see both because they one is a lot of fun and the other one is very informative if you want to get that's as far as I'll go with that. But it was a great time. It was a great shock. It made this is my first Comic-Con, period. For not just First Press, it was my First Press. And this was like, oh man, this is like great moments that you hear about. And San Diego usually has these moments.
Yes.
Let's be honest, not New York. I mean, New York has some big news that comes out, but usually when you think about the big mic drop moments, it's, Marvel showing up in Hall H and fucking announcing
everything.
The entire lineup for the next phase. And everybody's like, oh my God. And you're clapping. And I think the New York Comic-Con being the first major con back in person, I think they wanted to have a mic drop moment. I think that Jason Reitman took advantage of that as well. So kudos to him and thank you very much for showing us the movie. And said, here's the mic drop. We're going to show the movie that everybody wants to see and get that buzz out there and keep it healthy. Plus, what's more New York than Ghostbusters?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think for this being the first time in 2 years that we've been back in person at the Javits, at the pop culture mecca that is New York Comic Con, they wanted to come back in a big way. They just put on that great new addition for the Empire Stage, which is a completely side building if you haven't been down to the Javits. It was absolutely impressive to go into and then to really put that stamp, that mic drop moment on the weekend. And granted, it was Friday night that this happened still. Mm-hmm. But the buzz about this has still carried through. And for the cast that was there and Ivan Reitman and Jason Reitman, who were really so passionate about seeing the fans, like it radiated to that crowd and really delivered that point home that when they said, we're ready to go show you a movie, and Jason Reitman just said, no, you've waited long enough. Here's the movie in its entirety. We want to give it to you, and just really presented that out. That was the defining moment of the weekend. And I think for New York Comic Con to really return in a big way, this has been the buzz about everybody's list.
Yeah.
Well, I also look at it like this. You got to remember in the room, as far as us in the room, first of all, there's a massive screen. Mm-hmm. So, it was shown on a massive screen. It was bigger than your standard movie theater screen. Not quite an IMAX screen, but it was a big ass screen. But secondly, being in a room of 6,000 plus, closer to 7,000, it was cool that unlike a movie theater where you don't really make noises, you made noises. Everybody was clapping and cheering and laughing out loud and having a good time with it. So it was kind of like that. It almost felt like you were watching it at home with your 6,000 plus closest friends.
Yes.
And I thought that really made it a lot nicer. And I'm sure in the back, Ivan Reitman and Jason Reitman and the entire cast that was there was gleaming from ear to ear, listening to the reaction of the crowd because you knew they were back there because you could see flashes of them taking pictures.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you got to figure this is a cheaper screen test for them to do than your average screen test where you got to, however you go through that process, because that's all fine and dandy to do an average regular screen test with to see how it's testing. This is probably the best screen test you can give this though, because this isn't just, a theater of however many people a theater holds, 50 to 100, whatever it is, showing up and watching the movie. This is 6,000 to 7,000 plus people who are fans of the franchise, who have been involved with the franchise for however long it is, since day one when the first movie came out, or since they first got introduced years later. That for them, this is all right. If we know this movie is gonna be great or not, this is how we do it.
Oh yeah, could you imagine if the movie was bad?
Oh my God, no.
Holy crap! Like I'm being honest. It wasn't.
agree with you.
I wasn't.
No,
but if it was bad, that crowd would have let you know.
We ended up being wrong about it, but we thought that about the last time we were there. Maybe it was the year prior with the animated Spider-Man movie. I'm blanking on the name.
Oh, Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse, because we didn't go to that panel because it was held up at Madison Square Garden, and we're like, there's no way we're going to be able to get into this. And we got out of whatever panel we were watching instead and saw on Twitter that they showed like 30 to 60 minutes or whatever the hell it was.
They showed a good portion of it.
They showed like a third to half of the movie at the panel, and we're like, yo, like, what's that say about the movie? Now, hindsight, we ended up being wrong, but at the time, we're sitting there going, you're showing like a third to half of your whole movie at the which had never been heard of at New York Comic Con. We're like, what does this say? Like I said, wrong though.
Before we move on, I do want to make two statements, though. First, the Empire Stage is beautiful, and the new edition is beautiful. But hopefully by next year they fix the issues with connection up there. Because on Saturday, I got really familiar with the Empire Stage because I went up there about 12:15 in the afternoon and didn't descend until about 9:30 p.m. So I spent over 9 hours. There was nowhere up there to buy drinks. There was nowhere up there to buy food. I mean, I did have snacks and drink on me, thankfully. The bathrooms were in a really weird position because when I went to the bathroom, you followed me over the one time. It was really strange.
They're kind of out of the way from where the entrances are.
Yeah, and it's
even,
just
even on the fourth floor, because I went to the fourth floor for a couple panels, and one of which I had to go to the bathroom, but I had to walk a little ways away from where my room was to get to the bathrooms.
So if our friends at Comic-Con are listening, or the Javits, I just want to say, great job. I understand it's new, so I'm not crucifying them, but next year, definitely get some food vendors up there because I bet you'll make a ton of money, especially on people who are stuck up there.
Well, and you got to figure this is the test run just because this is the first major event that I know of that they've run at the building.
It is.
Oh, absolutely. This is the first time that they've been running, obviously, with everything going on in the world. And to be kind of the test run to see, okay, what worked and what didn't. And I guarantee you this. Reed Pop is very, very smart about hearing feedback and seeing, okay, what went right and what went wrong. And you see a lot of changes from year to year to year to improve the experience. And obviously, we knew that this year was going to be a little different, that everything was going to be held at the Javits. We weren't going to have to go to the Hammerstein Ballroom and MSG for different panels. Everything was locked and loaded in one case, and they were definitely making sure everybody was vaccinated and wristband up and making sure that they were doing the proper health etiquette. But to really make this a test run, this was, like, I think the biggest test they were going to have, and they passed with it.
Oh, yeah, I'd say so because I'm reading off an article from Forbes.com. Basically, headline reads, fans turn up for New York Comic-Con even if big names don't. In the article written by a gentleman by the name of Rob Solkowitz, normally they sell about 250,000 tickets for this, though we do know that New York Comic-Con sold out for all 4 days. There was about 150,000 paid in-person attendees. So that's just folks who paid for badges. That doesn't count press. That doesn't count folks working the thing. You know, the photographers, the people working the rooms, and you're just running stuff back and forth. That doesn't include the vendors or the celebrities or the panelists or everything else. So you're probably putting that closer to 160,000, I'd say, maybe.
Yeah, and the cool part about that is that they did knock it down.
Yeah.
They kept it under what they could have had because they could have had a lot more people there. And there was people looking for badges even while we were there in New York City.
Yeah.
But before we move on, because I know we got a big packed show, I do want to make a personal observation as well to our good friend Tyler Mack from 30 and Nerdy. Listen, that girl waited for you at Ghostbusters because we didn't know about that. You need to buy that ring and ask her to marry you. I know he's listening. Everybody in the ODPH Society at 30 and Nerdy, make sure you let him know to get that girl a ring. She deserves it because, man, without question, she waited, and that was a long wait because we all thought we were getting out of this panel roughly at 7:30, and we didn't get out until like 9:30. I mean, young Padawan J was not there, but he made his way back to the lobby. We still felt bad for him. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But in the case of like your significant other waiting in a lobby for you for 2 hours, yeah, man, please make it happen. On the behalf of everybody here, make that happen. So I wanted to make that announcement on the show.
1,000% facts. I'm co-signing on that as well.
And if she's listening, we got your back.
Hell yeah.
Right here.
Hell yeah. But That being said, Pad, you didn't make it to the panel, and we do salute you for being a trooper about that whole ordeal as well. What won Comic-Con for you?
Well, I'd say I got two things at one con, one being a panel and then the other one being in a group or individual or however you want to look at it. In terms of a group or individual, I'd have to say Funimation and anime in general, just because like I don't know if we said on the previous show, but as we found out when we got there, Marvel was not there.
Right.
DC was not there. Image Comics was not there. Valiant Comics was not there. Boom Studios was not there. Midtown Comics was not there. So that meant all of those folks I mentioned, none of the properties they own were there. You know, Valiant just had some of those movies come out. They could have been there and had a panel about their upcoming comics universe. They weren't there. Marvel was not there for any of their, like, hey, here's what's coming in the entire next year of our comics run. That did not happen. DC was not there, so there was no usual display of, you know, costumes for whatever movie's getting ready to come out or just came out in the entryway, you know. So there also were no DC panels. There were no, you know, there was no Walking Dead panel. You know, final season, it's always been a mainstay at New York Comic Con doing giant panels where Norman Reedus comes riding down on a motorcycle. Walking Dead was not there, so Image Comics was not there. But the other companies, Funimation and the anime studios and anyone else, you know, Nickelodeon and you know, Paramount and Viacom and all those folks stepped up to the plate, and I got to give them kudos, especially Funimation, because they made their presence very well known throughout the entire convention.
Absolutely. Funimation as an entity, they won Comic-Con.
3 major panels, also 3 major sites on the floor.
Yeah.
1 outside, 2 inside, but 3 major sites, 3 major panels. And they had smaller panels too, but I'm just saying 3 major ones plus the 3. That's impressive. We were definitely impressed by them and blown away by them. As you guys know, we have different loves of anime in different areas. And the best part about it is that a lot of this stuff, like I came in not a My Hero Academia fan, and currently I'm watching My Hero Academia and looking forward to going to the movie. So that should tell you how much I enjoyed being at the My Hero Academia panel. Probably one of the best moments at con period.
Oh yeah,
Guap Dad 4000.
Yes,
having a rap performance in the middle of their business presentation, because that was basically what that exact panel was. It was like a business presentation, like here's what's going on with the not merger, my bad, wink wink, the partnership with Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
And with all of that going on, and they're like, hey, yeah, we're going to give you a rap concert. And it was fun, and it was energetic, including, better to ask for forgiveness than permission as he jumps and goes into the crowd. And it was amazing. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Right down to our press event at Sakura Park, which I wish, the only thing that I regret personally from this trip is I bought breakfast that morning because I thought it was late snacks.
Yes. No, we have to give a shout out to everybody that was involved with the Funimation PR team. They kicked off con in such a big way, too, at Sakura Park. We were invited up there as press to go kind of check around, and then according to the flyer, we got light snacks, tea, water, and we got up there, and they put on such an amazing spread.
Yeah, there was breakfast sandwiches, breakfast burritos, something else that I didn't even recognize. I think it was a Japanese dish for breakfast. And then there was all the pastries and donuts and bagels and whatever else you could ask for. And I'm like, damn, we paid for breakfast this morning. We could have gone there and had breakfast. Some people did. I didn't know. We just thought it was going to be light snacks, so we went to breakfast.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful, and it was nice. They gave us swag bags. We do have to, come clean about that. Because we don't want to think it's outside. But it was nice. They gave you a mask and a lanyard and a shirt.
Yeah, that was great. But for me, in terms of panels that I really enjoyed, and I think one had to be Wheel of Time, the show coming out on November 19th on Amazon Prime. Went into this with Dre. We both covered it. We both went in there 100% blind. We knew absolutely jack all about the show. Didn't know what it was, other than reading the little blurb that was on the website. I knew absolutely nothing about it, what it was based on, what the source material was. And I came out of this going, yo, I cannot wait for this, because I'm a little picky with my science fiction and fantasy shows. I like what I like, and if I'll try something, I don't always like everything. But I went into this, and just the energy from the cast and the showrunner really permeated. It was a Zoom pre-recorded panel,
Okay.
But it still it came through of just how excited and how into the entire thing the entire show they are. They're so into it that a bunch of the cast are reading the books. It's a 14 book series. There's 14 books in this series. You know,
really?
Yeah, that the show is based off of. Joshua Stradowski, one of the questions was asked, you know, who among you is the furthest along? And Joshua Stradowski goes, probably me. I'm almost done with the 11th book.
Oh, wow.
You know, so that's really great. You know, there's 7 episodes. They're dropping on November 19th. You can check out the trailer on Amazon Prime Video, or probably it's on their YouTube channel or something. They did say that a second season is coming, and they're in the process of filming season 2. But just, I went into this, like I said, 100% blind, knew nothing about it. And they did show a brief clip, but there wasn't really much to go off of or tell what the vibe or the feel is, you know. But I came out of this going, I need to watch this show.
And what's kind of a quick synopsis of this show?
So the brief synopsis of this is, it's set in a fantasy world, you know, where kind of like medieval, where there's magic exists, but only some people can use it, you know. And then a woman crosses paths with 5 people. And it just sparks this whole world-spanning journey, you know, where craziness involves and just high adventure fantasy type of stuff. You know, to me, it seems like if you're a fan of like Lord of the Rings or something like that, you're definitely going to get vibes of this. You know, they didn't go into too much detail because I don't think they wanted to give too much away and wanted to really get fans hooked in on it, but it worked for me.
Yeah, that's a big takeaway from this panel, too. I was hearing from a lot of our fellow friends that were at Con and were really amped up about this book series and saying, okay, is this going to live up to the hype? Because obviously Game of Thrones was such a big monster in its own right and very polarizing about what you feel at the end.
Yeah.
So this one obviously has kind of those vibes, and like you touched upon, a little Lord of the Rings mixed into. This show has a lot riding on it from Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
So, but the buzz about this is really big right now that I don't think mainstream has caught on just yet.
No.
But I feel this is going to be like when The Boys came out and really snuck up on everybody and really like captured pop culture audience. So I feel that you're going to be the same way. But Pat, you got such high standards for this, man. I'm now excited to go check this out. Next up for me, though, I got to say, speaking of The Boys, they had just a fun panel. And sometimes at con, you don't need a super over-the-top panel. You know, we don't need to have so much bombshells get dropped on everybody.
Right.
But just hearing the cast just give a little behind-the-scenes about what they've been doing on such a hit show. And, I mean, if you haven't been following The Boys on Amazon, I cannot help you enough. Like, you need to get following it. It is an acquired taste.
Right.
It's not your typical superhero show, but it's so well done. It captures the essence of the book written by Garth Ennis to the T. And they had some of the cast on, Chase Crawford, Karen Fukuhara, Aaron Moriarty, Jack Quaid, and the one and only Anthony Starr, who absolutely just stole that panel. The camaraderie they had together just really resonated, and you can definitely tell they're enjoying their time together. And as a cast that plays such a very diverse group of characters, it was very cool to see how they interacted too. And just the back and forth they had going. It really made you that more excited to go catch season 3 when it drops. We didn't see anything about season 3 getting revealed there. We do know some storylines that are coming out for it, but I don't want to spoil anything just yet. But this was just a really fun panel that jumped out at me. Rich, how about you? I think Chucky was next on your list.
Oh, man, Chucky, that was the first time for me going up to the good old Empire stage. They showed the entire first episode, which, as we record today, will be dropping tonight on Sci-Fi/USA because it's going to be on both channels. It was a pretty slow build up to it, but it was very good. I enjoyed it immensely. We had, of course, after there was a short period of panel time because they only had a X amount of time. But Jennifer Tilly and the creator of the whole Child's Play series, including the show, Don Mancini, were there. They got joined by Alex Vincent, who plays Andy in the series, who's in the show, and they also got joined by the actor, who is playing Jake, the lead character on the show. So it's pretty cool and pretty awesome. They had a couple surprises. Don Mancini went in and talking about how the main character is based on him and his life experiences loosely, obviously, because he obviously didn't run into any killer dolls, but he is as a gay man in America. He grew up as a gay teenager, so the kid in the movie or the show, is also gay, and his trials and tribulations that lead him to this point. He also made sure that people know that Jake is the exact opposite of Andy. Andy, of course, was pure and good, and Jake can be tempted. So that was kind of a little tease that he gave people for the season. Jennifer Tilly said, promised everybody that this season gets really fucked up and insane.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny as well. Also, she has never seen any of the Child's Play movies she's not in.
That blows my mind.
Don Mancini has says now he's going to tie her up and make her watch them, which I thought that was also kind of funny in a way. Everybody sounded like they're having fun on this cast. We do know that the majority of the OGs do not come in until episode 5. You will see glimpses of them, you will see parts of them, but they don't get intertwined in the story until episode 5. And they've got quite the cast coming back from all your favorite Child's Play movies. So you'd be surprised, and even people that we didn't even know were going to be back.
Really?
They
That's
promised that there's some possible cameos that you're going to be like, oh crap. There was a lot of Easter eggs even in the first episode. It is a kind of a slow build, and then you get to the end of the episode, and then you're like, I see where this is going. So I have hope for this series based upon the end of the episode and hearing them talk. So thumbs up, big thumbs up to them. They did a great job. They also gave everybody Chucky masks. And we did a big picture with everybody with these Chucky face masks on. I gave mine to my wife. It was absolutely small and with the beard and stuff, super hard to wear. But I did it for the photo.
There you go. Right on. Hearing a lot of good things about that panel coming out, too. And obviously, you said the show is debuting tonight as we're recording. So definitely I'll have to hear a recap on Horror Zone 607 this upcoming week.
Yes, I'll be talking about that this week.
Pat, what you have up next on your list?
Next up for me was probably the panel for the upcoming Dragon Ball Super movie, Dragon Ball Super Superhero. This one, of course, is the next movie. Set to be released in 2022 over in Japan. Did not give a release date for the dub version overseas. They did have at the panel the gentleman who voices Whis, I forget his name, and then the woman who voices Bulma in the English versions over here in the States. They were in the panel. They did not find out their characters Whis and Bulma respectively were going to be in the movie until that very instance at the panel. So they're like, listen, we're finding out with you folks, So they when they went to go do a Q&A, they said, listen, don't ask us when the movie's coming out stateside. We literally have not recorded a word of this for,
That's so wild.
And so don't know anything about that. We got to see the first ever footage for the movie because it was announced back in March for Goku Day, that the movie was coming. But we got to see the first ever footage, which is the clip you can see online. It's been circling the internet. We found out the name of 2 new characters who were named Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. Don't know much about any of what's going on with there. We didn't hear any dialogue or anything. The trailer that plays online is what we heard in the panel, so it's not like, it's Hall H moment where like we get to hear the dialogue but you don't. Like, no, what you see on the video online is what we saw on the panel, so it's just the music. They did confirm that the Red Ribbon Army, if you're familiar with the Dragon Ball lore, is making a return, so something's going on with that. The cool thing is we did have, it was kudos to these guys because we did have live video in from over in Tokyo at the studio working on it, where it was like 11:40 a.m. here. It was, 1 in the morning over there.
Okay.
It was absolute, but they stayed up and did it. You had one of the producers, Akio Ayoku, confirm that the movie takes place 10 years after Goku's defeat of Majin Buu, so the end of the Dragon Ball Z series. He said, quote, every time we make a new movie, we like to update the visuals. Every time you see a new Dragon Ball movie, you are experiencing the newest version of Dragon Ball. We are committed to giving the best quality and newest version possible. You also had producer Norihiro Hayashida say, one of the themes we wanted to portray in this film was the theme of pop. In Japanese, we use pop to describe that are fashionable, cool, beautiful, something that's contemporary and modern. Together with the director, we really researched some unprecedented uses of movement, colors, and textures, so we've made some really sophisticated artwork for this film, close quote. One of the things we did learn is that Goku's granddaughter, Gohan's daughter, Pan, is training with Piccolo, which, if you've seen Dragon Ball Z, you know how that usually goes.
Yeah.
Piccolo does have a house, which was definitely a big surprise. We did get a bit of a surprise, though. It had 2 pre-recorded interviews, one with Toshiho Furukawa, who is the Japanese voice of Piccolo. Basically answering, he answered drama parts and the battle parts and said, the quality of each is quite high. And then this was the big shock. We got a pre-recorded interview with Masako Nozawa, who is the Japanese voice of Goku. So that was definitely a surprise. Did not see that coming. She described the battle sequences as absolutely amazing. And like I said, they didn't give a release date just because they're still discussing the distribution. They're still in negotiations. So definitely, I'm super excited for this. It looked really awesome, and I just cannot wait for this movie to come out because there's people are already like digging apart and going over the trailer that's like 30 to 45 seconds with a comb. And there's one thing in it that I think I've spotted that if it ends up happening and it is true what I think is happening, I'm going to go nuts.
That's some big praise right there. Dragon Ball, I know that was circled on your calendar.
Oh, yeah.
And you're definitely excited about that one. And with, the superhero movie, try saying that 3 times fast.
I know.
Coming. I mean, that's something that's got a lot of DB fans really talking.
As good as Dragon Ball and the Dragon Ball series is, not known for making their names real easy. Super Saiyan, God Super Saiyan. Just saying.
Facts. Next up on my list was the AEW panel.
Oh, boy, this was crazy.
This one was just fun. And that's something that, for being in front of a live crowd, the superstars involved from All Elite Wrestling definitely were living in the moment. We had Thunder Rosa, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, Adam Cole,
Bebe,
and Tony Schiavone moderating.
Yeah.
And this one, Rich and I were in attendance for. Pad, you were there too.
Yes.
Just a fun panel. I did not think the MVP of this was going to be Orange Cassidy at the offset.
Oh, no.
But his one-liners and character just carried it through. I thought Thunder Rosa was great during this as well. Rich, you got some thoughts on this?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the banter of one Orange Cassidy, especially shooting down bad questions.
Yes.
Also, Tony Schiavone, man. He gets I don't want to say cranky because I enjoyed every minute of it, but
he gets heated.
He let people know like, nah, we're not going to talk about. We don't know anything about this. This is not our business. Told everybody to go to the next panel, which is Booking 101, and then they can book their own shit. Great line. And then, of course, telling people that if they had to book an episode of Dynamite, that by 7:55 at the latest, their assholes would seal right up.
Yep.
I thought that was a great line as well. And then also took the approach of saying that there is no wrestling war, that it's just competition, and competition is good because everybody can succeed, and the fans should just be happy and stop crapping on things because why crap on it when you can enjoy everything? I thought that was a very interesting take from Schiavone, a very smart take from Tony Schiavone.
I agree. As
he pointed out during the Monday Night Wars, both companies did very well.
Yeah, that's an absolute fact that I think a lot of fans don't get these days because everybody's so caught up in the Twitter hype of AEW versus WWE that you just have to really sit back and relax and just enjoy the moment that you're in. And for being a wrestling fan, there's so much wrestling, like we talk about on 607 TWS all the time. There's something for everybody out there. Just be a fan.
Yeah.
And just enjoy it. And in fact, when we were hearing about the one great question that was asked at the panel about who would a dream opponent be for everybody.
Yeah.
I have never heard Orange Cassidy jump up so quick, break character, and call out Zack Sabre Jr. I had to do a double take. I remember staring at Rich going like, did this just happen?
Yeah, because the thing is Orange Cassidy, I've had the pleasure of meeting him. He was at an Excite show a couple of years ago. Met the man in person. He's a great guy, but the entire time he's on the panel, he's in character. The man lives the gimmick.
Yes.
Because you start off the panel, they're going through talking to each of the wrestlers, and Schiavone's going through and talking about the instance where he either first became aware of the person or he met the person. He talked about meeting Thunder Rosa in Staten Island or whatever it was. Talked about meeting Darby Allin at MLW down in Florida. And then, he goes, the first time I saw Orange Cassidy was probably like a lot of you where it was online and he fell asleep in the middle of the ring. What was going on with that? And Darby just looks at him and goes, I was tired.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I was tired. So it was just off the cuff, laid back, stuff like that I'm like, this man lives the fucking gimmick. And it's amazing.
And then next thing you know, he's like, Zack Sabre Jr. You know where I am, Zach. Like, I was like, whoa. He was something there. He was fired up. Of course, Adam Cole said Okada.
Yeah.
One-on-one. I'm here for that.
I'm here all day for that.
And then Thunder Rosa after Tony Schiavone. And I think this is what led, if I remember correctly, this is what led to Tony Schiavone doing the war. The thing about the war is nonsense because originally it's just like, well, the person works for the other company, so I can't say their name. And Schiavone was like, no. You can say whoever. Who is it? And she said, everybody was chanting Asuka, and she was like, no, because she said Japanese. She was in Japan. And it was Io Shirai. Yeah. And that's, I think right after that, if I remember correctly, right. Schiavone then went into the whole, hey, listen, this is fans. You should eat it up. Everybody can be successful.
Well, and I think that was partially for the fans, Schiavone said that, but I think it was also just like a level of understanding amongst the wrestlers, like, hey, don't feel bad to talk about this, because earlier in the panel, it got asked about the crazy bumps they've taken, and he talked about the crazy one Darby Allin took, where he went to the balcony of some MLW show, and like, there's no way you're going to do this. But then Cole talked about taking
Ciampa, the Emerald Fusion from the top of the cage.
He didn't go, oh, I took whatever from the top of the cage from somebody. No, he flat out said Tommaso Ciampa.
And then they said the next night I wrestled Pete Dunne.
So he goes, I took a whatever from Tommaso Ciampa from the top of the cage, and then the next night I went and wrestled Pete Dunne, which everyone in the room knows who they're signed with currently. So it's like, hey, you don't got to beat around the bush.
See, Cole didn't give a damn.
No, he doesn't.
And I think Shivani was trying to let everybody else on that panel know, hey, listen,
you can say
management's not here, and I don't care. And if I'm the person who's in charge, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I think, and like I said, it was for the fans as well, because it's kind of like, hey, listen.
It needs to be said.
It needs to be said. And I wish I would have recorded that, but I was trying to be respectful.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, that would have been great just to play over and over again. But that's the kind of guy Tony Schiavone is. And the passion was there. The crowd loves Schiavone, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really good time. And,
and Schiavone just gets it, because that was one thing he brought up, at the beginning of the panel. He's been around wrestling a long time.
Facts.
He goes, I've been around wrestling so long that some of you in this room weren't even born when I started in the wrestling business.
Mm-hmm.
So
he was in the wrestling business when you held a side headlock for 10 minutes is what he said. And that was a big thing.
Yeah, he goes, oh yeah, when I started in the wrestling business, holding a side lock for 10 minutes was considered a great match. Now he goes, now you got these guys and girls doing all these crazy spots and moves and all everything. But you think about it, though, he has seen the business ebb and flow and change and grow and everything else. He gets it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the big takeaway from that panel is they understood that they were doing it in front of fans and just be in the moment. And Tony was just trying to encourage everybody, let your guard down. Like, we don't have to sit there and not put over another company, because at the end of the day, it's just us talking with fans about experiences we've gone through. And that's what you go for as fans. You definitely want to be in that attendance to have that moment. It definitely helped AEW. I think it might have won some people over that were kind of on the fence about checking them out. Mm-hmm. That if this was their first time seeing these superstars, it definitely made somebody go, okay, I'm going to check out Dynamite this week and see what this hype is about. So that's what you want from any panel like this, is just to get some interest into your product, and hopefully that translates into somebody checking it out or purchasing it or becoming involved in being a fan. Rich, what else do you have on your list?
Well, I guess we'll go to something slightly personal. I got to do 2 sets of interviews at New York Comic Con this year in the press room, so thank you so much. First off, thank you so much to Discovery Plus and the cast of Kindred Spirits and Ghost Hunters. That's
nice.
Right. They're back. The Ghost Hunters are back as Ghost Hunters. We got to sit down in a little round table with them and with a bunch of other great reporters from all over. Takeaways from that is they've moved Kindred Spirits up for all of you fans of it. It was originally supposed to come out in January 2022. It will now be coming out in December. December.
Interesting.
So there you go. And of course, Ghost Hunters premieres on October 31st on Discovery Plus.
Perfect timing.
And they will actually be joined by the folks from Kindred Spirits. And they were all the original cast of Ghost Hunters anyways. It's 2 different shows, but they are all the original cast of Ghost Hunters, so it's kind of cool. The band is back together for the Halloween episode. Lots of cool things. I can tell you the Kindred Spirits people told us they found a dead body.
That's wild.
Like a legit dead body, not like, oh, we found a ghost. No, dead body. And some really cool stuff from the Ghost Hunters saying that they got some of their clearest EMVs this season. So look forward to that. Lots of cool stories from them. And then the second group of interviews I was a part of was Why the Last Man. And they
the
came,
FX show.
So thank
Hulu
you.
show.
Thanks to FX. It is FX.
Yep.
It's FX and Hulu. So thank you to them for being awesome. Lots of fun. They brought a bunch of the stars from the show, but they also brought the showrunner and writer Eliza Clark, and she's so passionate about it. She's passionate about the comic book that it's inspired by. She's passionate about what she's doing and changing, and she's definitely communicating with everybody who was involved with the comic book to make this world, because obviously you have to change things up. And it was a really good interview with them. They were all very nice. Like I said, she's by far one of, like, everybody talked highly. She goes by Eli. That's that's her nickname.
Okay.
So a lot of the cast just called her Eli, because I guess that's pretty much like she was supposed to be called.
Okay.
She was amazing. Everybody there was amazing. Oh my God. One of the funniest, nicest people was Ashley Romans. She's on the show. She plays Agent 355. She was very fun, very giving. And like I said, I can't say enough good about everybody that was there. But thank you once again to. I'm going to be clearing up that audio and stuff, so you guys will be hearing that either on a YouTube video here or everywhere else you get 607 podcasts, because there's some audio cleanup you have to do. Unfortunately, with roundtables, there's everybody is at a different table and you're in the same area, so you kind of get some bleeding over.
Stuff bleeding over.
So I have to kind of isolate some stuff this week. But yeah, it was a really good time. So thank you to FX, Hulu, Discovery Plus, The Ghost Hunters, Kindred Spirits, and of course Why the Last Man for having us involved. And Dre Driven got to watch episode 7, said it was very good.
Yeah, he was definitely hyping up that. He said the episode was great, and he was saying that Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerrera, who are the creators of the Why the Last Man comic book, came out. So that was a cool moment for him, he was saying. And he said the vibe there was really a great one, too. A lot of high energy there as well. And especially Brian K. Vaughan news breaking that Saga is officially coming back in January.
Oh, there you go.
So that's huge comic book news. If you haven't read Saga, you got to get familiar with that.
I heard that there was rumblings of that while we were at Comic-Con. That wasn't announced yet, but there was rumblings going around that was a possibility, and they were hoping that would be announced.
Yes. Yeah, so that is something that did get leaked out, so definitely exciting news about that. I know that was buzzing through comic book Twitter all day on Sunday, so definitely excited about that. Pad, what else do you have?
For me, it's kind of like two in the same vein, though. It was the 2 voice acting panels I got to go to. The first one of which was the Star Wars voice actors panel. This was with D. Bradley Baker and Matthew Wood. D. Bradley Baker, if you don't know, he is the voice of Klaus on American Dad, Perry the Platypus, and Phineas and Ferb. He's the voice of every clone in like Star Wars Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, and then Star Wars Bad Batch. He's also Olmec from Legends of the Hidden Temple. He's Ra's al Ghul in Batman Arkham City, Momo and Appa in Avatar: The Last Airbender. He was Daffy Duck in the original Space Jam.
Okay.
Oh, geez.
I can't go through everything he's ever done in because according to his IMDb, he has 637 acting credits. So we'd be here a while. But it was with him and Matthew Wood, who's worked in the business with Lucasfilm for 30 years. He voiced General Grievous in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith and also in Clone Wars. So that one was really cool just because it was the two of them talking shop and how they got into the business. Both of them kind of in a similar vein of started in plays and moved on to kind of bigger productions before eventually ending up in the film industry. Matthew Woods was very interesting, though, just because he was living out in California, not far from where the Lucasfilm ranch is, and he saw a job listing in the newspaper. But it didn't say for what company it was. It just said you would be a quality assurance tester. And it listed the place, and going to the library and because this is before the age of the internet and Google, did his research at the library, figured out that where it was, he's like, all right, there's 2 businesses out there. There's a dairy farm, but then there's also Lucasfilm. So he goes, I'm either going to be a quality assurance tester for a piece of dairy equipment or something involving Lucasfilm. So he wrote up his resume on Microsoft Paint.
Oh, wow.
This is not a joke. Added at the bottom of the resume at the advice of his father, father said, well, put a couple of sentences in there just to really make yourself stand out from the rest of the crowd. And he had no idea what to put, so he put in excellent health and living with my parents. And then he faxed, yes, again, this is how long ago this was, faxed his resume to Lucasfilm, got a call a couple of weeks later at his parents' house. Father picked up the phone and goes, yeah, hi, is Mr. Matthew Wood there? Yeah, who is this? Oh, this is Lucasfilm. We're looking to talk to him. They wanted to talk to him because they had never received a resume by fax machine before. Ended up getting a job and working in the LucasArts, the video game studio, being a quality, testing the video games, making sure they're all good, before eventually making his way over to, the film production side of things, where he's very heavily involved in sound production. He worked on Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Clone Wars, Bad Batch, a whole bunch, all the Star Wars sequel films. It was just the two of them talking shop. I thought one of the interesting moments, though, was how do you, especially because Matthew Wood does the droid voices. Mm-hmm. So all of the droids in the movies and Clone Wars and Rebels and everything else, and that D. Bradley Baker doing all of the clones, with all of the characters having kind of like these different personalities and tone of voices and all that, how do you, in the clone heavy voices, the droid heavy voices, how do you make the jump between one to the next if you're talking at the same time? Matthew Wood said, I've basically got a picture of them in my head and what they look like and what they sound like, and I just got to picture them in my head, and I go there. D. Bradley Baker had the interesting one where he's like, I'm basically jumping from cliff to cliff or like ledge to ledge. Like on this ledge, I'm supposed to be Rex. On this ledge, I'm supposed to be Cody, So it was just interesting, back and forth. One person did ask them, what color would your lightsaber like to be? D. Bradley Baker said, blue. Give me blue. And then Matthew Wood, of course, voicing General Grievous in his best Grievous voice he could do because, hey, he didn't have the technology to alter his voice all the way, said, what lightsaber would I like to add to my collection, which was really cool. And then he goes, probably something wrapped in Padawan braids, which everyone in the room went, oh, God. Even the panelists went and looked at him and went, oh, my God, you seriously said that. Highlight of the goddamn panel, though, was somebody living in the age of the internet did not miss their opportunity, had General Grievous on stage, looked at him and said, hello there, much like Ewan McGregor does in Revenge of the Sith. And without missing a voice, and I cannot believe he hasn't done this before. He said this is the first time he's done this. Without missing a beat, Matthew Wood goes, General Kenobi, you are a bold one. So I got to hear the goddamn meme in person, which was bucket list stuff. The other cool one I got to go to, which I had to leave the AW panel for because if I did not, I would not have made it to this panel, was the Avatar Braving the Elements podcast recording with Jeanette Varney, who voices Korra in The Legend of Korra, and then Dante Bosco, who some of you might know as Rufio from the Hook film, but he also voices Prince Zuko from Avatar The Last Airbender. If I had not have left the AEW panel when I did, I would not have made this panel because about 10 minutes after I made it from the main stage up to the fourth floor of the new portion of the Javits, and about 10 minutes after I got there, they capped the line. And there was a moment where they started going through and counting how many people they had room for in the studio, in the room. About 4 or 5 people after me, they cut the line. So I just barely made it into this panel. But so it was with Jeanette Varney, Dante Bosco, and then they also had, because he was in the area, D. Bradley Baker, because as I mentioned, he voiced Appa and Momo from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And Jeanette Varney went to the Avatar Wiki folks and said, hey, I need some scripts. I need to know some episodes that are very animal and Zuko based, so that we can get Dante and Dee to read some scripts. So they gave her a list and she went to Nickelodeon because Nickelodeon is in charge of the podcast, and they gave her the script. So I got to hear some scripts from the show read by the characters on stage, which was really cool. And then I also got to hear, because she couldn't miss an opportunity, this is the first live recording they've ever done of this podcast since they started, back in the middle of the pandemic. But she could not miss the opportunity in front of the fans, give the fans something they want. If you've ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, and specifically the 3rd season, you know the moment where Zuko's going from a bad guy to a good guy, and he's looking to join the Avatar, spoiler alert, and he's practicing what he's going to say to them, because to this point, it's 2.5 seasons of just chasing them all over the world, causing them headaches, and putting them through absolute hell, and he's practicing it in front of an animal, and he goes, hello, Zuko here. And he just goes through his whole thing, and she goes, all right, I'm going to have him read another scene that you all might be familiar with, and let me give you this photo as a hint. And it was a still shot of that scene, and everyone, myself included, went, oh shit, he's going to say it. So I've got a video on my phone of him giving that whole speech that I'm going to treasure for the rest of my life, because between that and then General Kenobi, you are a bold one, that is 2 bucket list items that I've wanted to hear said in person that I got to cross off my list.
Can't go wrong with that. I mean, that's
Absolutely
one great thing with con, because not only can you get those kind of moments, you can also meet celebrities, get pictures, autographs, and that whole 9 too. But that's really what makes con stand out. I always say it's got to be an in-person event.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can watch it virtually, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But there's something about going there live and experiencing those moments live that really nothing can duplicate.
No.
No matter how hard you try. The last panel I had personally that I would definitely want to talk about was these 2 relative unknowns in the comic industry. Some guys you might have heard of named Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
I heard they're washed up.
I've heard they're actually the best tag team in all of comic book history, at least my personal opinion. Comixology had a panel on Saturday night that I was very, very much intrigued about, because they were talking about the new comic book line that Scott Snyder is leading, that's going to be debuting on Comixology, and then books will be printed out on Dark Horse about 6 months after. They just released We Have Demons #1, and that's Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. That dropped last week. I have it in my on my Unlimited account, which I highly recommend. Get Comixology Unlimited, and you can definitely get all these books lined up to you. So I'll give them a free plug on that. We Have Demons is absolutely amazing, and I cannot stress enough about it. It's a must-read. This week coming out under that line is Clear #1 with Scott Snyder, and Francis Manapul is doing that one, and it's a sci-fi book. So each one of these are going to be very different that Scott's doing under this. So they were in the building talking about that as well, and really kind of giving a breakdown about not just their time with Batman, because obviously everybody knows their legendary run of Batman, but they were really kind of breaking down their new projects they got going on. They were saying about how it was the first time they saw each other in 2 years since the pandemic happened.
Wow.
At New York Comic Con. So they were definitely excited to be there in front of fans talking. We did get a little background about We Have Demons, and it's a story about a daughter of a demon hunting pastor. So after he passes away, she's drawn into the battle, and it is absolutely as batshit crazy as it sounds. I can't get enough of it. And they said that right now they have so far 100 plus pages done. And as long as the fans are really into it and they really want it, they will keep doing more. So it's not like this will be done after the first 3 issues are
Right.
done. That they have a lot more stories to tell. It just depends on what the fans want to do. And like I said, Clear #1 comes out this week. If you're on Comixology right now, you can go look at it right now and go get it. And that one, like I said, is more of a sci-fi murder mystery that's going on in there as well. So it's a really cool concept there. And then coming out after that is Night of the Ghoul, and it's about a lost horror film from the 1930s that has a little more supernatural elements to it than meets the eye. And it was just really cool about hearing about the breakdown about this big move, because we've been hearing over the past few months about creators leaving the big companies and doing their Substacks and going on and doing their own thing. And I thought how Scott Snyder put this was very, very well. And he was saying about his belief is that with digital and print mediums, they're held at competitive lines. And he was saying the idea is when you go stream a movie, I mean, I know we all do streaming nowadays. It's kind of the norm. But when you're really impressed with a movie, how many of us go out and go buy the collector's edition Blu-ray?
I mean, depends on the movie for me. I mean, I've certainly for Star Wars, I tried to get the collector's editions as much as I could. But in terms of like buying a movie, almost always.
Yeah, Rich, same thing?
Yeah, I don't really buy anything to watch. Like I said, I buy it to collect.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But it was kind of like the same idea that they had here, is that they're saying there's such a boom now with novelty stores like that with the comic shops, this is something to really get people to check the books out online, and then once they come out, people want to go collect. Because that's something that, as comic book fans, we all have that itch about collecting. And, you know, obviously having that first print run. So this is something that he says is going to, in his opinion, really generate a lot of buzz to go back to the comic shops, and I'm all here for it. I think it was a great concept that he has going with this. And then you kind of heard just like a little more stories between him and Greg does not do digital drawing. That blew my mind. That he's old school as it comes with a pencil, and was really talking about making sure to, you know, do covers at least and have original art to sell. Like he had a really great story for any up and coming artist to do that for, you know, obviously for future endeavors. And he was also saying that, you know, you just really get just how much he really loves the experience of it. He said, you know, there's something about drawing with the pencil in your hands, and he can go on and on about pencils and really give you that passionate side of him and his storytelling with that. And if he wasn't doing horror books, he'd be doing superhero Fantastic Four type books, which, I mean, that's how I got introduced to him. I remember he used to draw Quasar, and then he went to X-Force. That was my first experience with him. And then obviously now he's the superstar that he is. And then I thought Scott Snyder had a great quote to say there, and he was talking about I can't remember if a fan brought up or the moderator did, about does he feel he's a horror writer. And what he said is he considers himself a horror writer because what he said, and I'm going to paraphrase this, is when horror is done right, it's the most perfect example of conflict. So Rich, you're the horror expert in the room. What's your feelings on that?
I think this is one of the greatest things I could have ever heard. A lot of times people downplay horror as a genre, whether it's in comics or novels or movies. I mean, in the novels you get a little bit better because people respect people, of course, like Stephen King and such. But and I'm not saying people don't respect the people in the horror movie industry, but a lot of times people blow it off like, oh, you're just doing this because it's easy. And to hear somebody who is a great writer go, no, it's about the conflict, and it really is. Think about it. And anything that you write, the conflict is good versus evil. Where is that more? Where is that line the most black and white? And it's in horror. Even when you kind of make the line gray for a while, eventually you know who's evil and who's good, and then you know which side you're supposed to root for. And I think that it is a perfect example of conflict, and it just makes me think that when you have people downgrading it as a genre, now you go, oh, wait a minute. If Scott Snyder says this is, the definitive genre, maybe it is, and maybe we should take a look at that. And it was kind of cool to have that respect, and he does a great job of writing horror.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Going back to what Capullo said about the drawings, I mean, if you're an artist, why wouldn't you want to have your own drawings?
Yeah,
you're gonna sell the stuff to this to the comic book company or whoever, and then you're gonna get paid whatever you got paid for that commission, and that's it. They're going to make the rest of the money. You're not going to see the rest of the money from however many runs they do of it. They paid you your commission. Mm-hmm. And so if you have that artwork, if that really took off, that's something that you can save for your retirement pretty much. Yeah. And somebody's going to buy it for big bucks.
Yeah, no, I thought they were just giving very informative information. Just hearing those two talk, like I could go hear them talk about it, virtually anything. They are just so passionate about comics and just the industry and just everything they're doing, and it just resonates in that room. And like I said, I've had the pleasure of meeting them at con for a few times, and it's still always that same energy no matter what.
My only question to you, though, is I missed the lunchtime signing. Is there any way that they can sign my books?
Oh, my God.
Examples of what not to do at a con.
Yeah. That did happen.
Oh, jeez.
But overall, I mean, there was so many other panels. I mean, we can get into. Star Trek had a big weekend. The Expanse had one. I know William Shatner was there talking. David Harbour was there. I know Dreves was speaking the highly praises of him as well. Is there any other panels you want to deep dive into? Or
I'm pretty good at deep diving into panels. I will say, just in my closing for New York Comic Con, the experience, like this was my first Comic Con. I understand the heavy hitters weren't there, but you know what? I didn't feel the void that much. The energy was great. The cosplaying was great. The vendors that were there and the companies that were there put out their best foot forward, and I think a lot of them benefited from not having the bigger things there. I mean, you got to remember, Funimation had, like I said, 3 places, and Doom Patrol had a nice little setup outside. Yep. And dude, was there a time that the Child's Play ice cream truck wasn't completely packed? Because I never saw a time where it wasn't completely packed.
At the open of the show and at the close of the show.
Yeah, yes. There you go. But outside of that, there was a time, and I know me and Pad talked about this. There was a time we met up at the lounge waiting for Ken to come back, and everything was it was Saturday night. It was getting close to the end of the con day, and it was like everything was dead. Like that was the best time. I know you walked around eBay lot.
Yeah.
I walked around the Dragon Ball Z thing again, and like the Funimation stuff, because there was like all weekend long they were like super busy unless you were there early. And we walked around them, but the one thing that was still busy was that damn Chucky ice cream truck.
Yeah, the Chucky ice cream truck was always busy. Dragon Ball area was fairly busy, but then also the eBay one was fairly. And I really wanted to get there and see that because eBay, to my recollection, in the 5 years I've gone, has never been to New York Comic Con.
Not to my knowledge.
So I was like, I wonder what they're going to have. So Saturday night, I finally got the chance to go over there because there was literally nobody there. And I just started walking around and seeing what was there. And they had a bunch of old, the first comics Spider-Man made his appearance in, Ghost Rider's first comic, Secret Wars from the 80s, first issue was there. But then the one that really made my jaw drop was the unopened booster starter box from Pokemon cards from 1999 that the listing on eBay was for $18,500. My jaw dropped. And then the 1999 holographic graded 10 Charizard card they had there, which the listing on that one was $400,000. I'm telling you this, I will never get that close to a $400,000 card ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that card was just impressive.
But the booths were great. I mean, the Whatnot guys were like really clamoring it up. Speaking of online auctions, they were doing a killing. And like I said, overall, the experience just walking in, I was happy to be there. It was a really great experience. But I really think that on a year where you didn't have the heavy hitters, it still was a lot of fun. And I think I didn't hear a lot of complaints from people other than some people being like, well, I wish they would have brought this or that. And it's just like, what are you going to do? I think that they made the best of the situation they had. And I think the fans, for the most part, walked away happy. I didn't see anybody really disgruntled.
No.
And also big shout outs to the fans who came and not only showed their vaccination cards, but wore masks for the most part. I mean, you have the occasional people who pulled them down. They would tell you to pull it back up. But, it was for the most part, I got to say, a good 90% of the fans definitely were paying attention. And it was kind of nice.
Absolutely.
Especially with that many people.
Pad, final thoughts?
Definitely was a great con. I got to give props to the folks at the Javits and then Repop as well for, let's face it, we are still in the throes of a pandemic. There's still, stuff going on. But for them to take the steps they did and enact the policies that they did, made it very easy, made it very safe. I at no point felt like my health was ever threatened. It was very easy to get in and out of there. It was a flawless system, no issues. And I just want to thank them for putting it on, because they could have very easily, with everything the way it was going leading up to this point, could have gone, you know what? Things just aren't going in the right direction we would like them to. We're going to put a pause on it and try again next year. But they didn't. And I'd say it worked out beautifully.
I have to agree with you wholeheartedly. I thought Repop and the Javits Center did an amazing job of having a safe and healthy environment that we could go to with every precaution they did in this time period we live in. We finally got back to an in-person con. We finally got to see a lot of our friends that we haven't gotten the chance to see in a long time. We ran into Joey from So Wizard. We ran into Dave from Superhero Speak. Jen and Dan from Game Vault Pod. They call this a movie, Stranger Damies. Fantastic people. We got to see Dre, which I haven't seen him in 2 years.
Yeah.
And Dre Driven was so excited at the Legends of Vox Machina panel. That was the energy we needed for Saturday. He came running in the door, and he was ready to go. And Tyler from 30 and Nerdy, like we said, we saw him as well. We saw a lot of our podcasting friends, content creators. Tom from Off the Cuff Gaming was there in full Power Ranger mode. He was ready to go crazy, too.
Yeah.
It was just such a fun experience to be back in the New York groove, to quote the song. And just to have that moments to go down there, and especially being pressed, we got a lot of access, a lot of things that we will definitely always remember. And I think the Ghostbusters Afterlife moment really puts the official cherry on the sundae. That New York was the pop culture place to be this weekend. There was a ton of information going on. And even if Marvel and DC and the so-called heavy hitters didn't go there, where they left, you saw Funimation really step up and put on an amazing display the entire weekend. You saw Amazon Prime really come through as well. You saw a lot of people really step up and just embrace the moment that we're back at a live con. And nothing, and I mean nothing, can replicate that. For more information on New York Comic Con, make sure you're following all 607 Podcast Media, and also check out NewYorkComicCon.com. And they have all the information they need, especially for the digital panels that we didn't get a chance to check. But I believe they're running on the YouTube channel as well.
30 days. If you have digital access, it's available for 30 days. So everybody knows at home. So it's not even too late. You can actually purchase it now, and you will get to see all of the virtual only panels and most of the panels that took place live and in person. I only think there's a couple things cut out, and they do cut out like previews and stuff like that because obvious reasons they didn't want to get around the internet. But it is available for 30 days.
Yes, and unfortunately, you can't get Ecto Cooler.
No, I got that twice though. $16.
Yes,
70 bucks, $8 a pop.
But so worth it, as well as New York Comic Con. So that all being said, we say thank you once again to Reed Pop and the Javits Center and everybody else that was behind New York Comic Con 2021. And definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH Pod, hashtag 3FN Pod. What is your thoughts on New York Comic Con 2021? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do not adjust your dial, or well, your phone, your watch, or whatever the heck you're using to listen to the awesome podcast you're currently listening to. I am the Duke of Nerds, Tyler Mack, and I am here to tell you that being a nerd can be a bit overwhelming, especially after 30. Life moves pretty fast in our nerd culture, and if you don't take the time to notice things, you miss out. That's why I'm here. As your Duke of Nerds, I am charged with educating, enlightening, and entertaining you on all things nerdy. I do it by running the 30 and Nerdy podcast. 30 and Nerdy is a Badcast company production and currently playing wherever you cast your pod. Follow along each episode using the hashtag 30andNerdyPod. And check out what all is going on at 30andNerdyPodcast.com. Whether it's DC, Marvel, comics, or video games, I have got you covered. So tune in now. Cheers to you, nerds.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast with Rich from 3FN in studio. And it's time to talk about DC Fandome.
Yeah.
Now, they were not at New York Comic Con for a reason this year, we believe, because this coming Saturday, October 16th, they are going to be having DC Fandome live on DCFandome.com, their YouTube channel and Twitch channel. It is a completely free event, and obviously coming off the heels of last year's epic online event where they broke down every major media program they have coming out and gave us the first look at the Robert Pattinson Batman trailer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hype going on with this. Rich, what was your feelings about Fandome last year?
Oh, Fandome last year was amazing. But it was a lot. It was a little more drawn out last year, and they had a bunch of different sites. This seems to be like more concise, if you will. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was okay. I mean, like at the end of the day, I mean, we all got excited because the teaser trailer for the 25% done film.
Yes.
And it was amazing. Let's be honest. That's really what sent everybody home happy. And there was a few other newses, if you will. If I remember correctly, they also announced the Shazam sequel officially at Fandome last year.
I believe so.
And I do believe, we already knew about Black Adam, so there was a couple other announcements, but everything to me got shouted out or just got silenced out by the teaser trailer for The Batman.
Yeah, that was the official mic drop moment that made everybody stop what they were doing on social media and go watch it. And it definitely lived up to the hype and gave us more excitement for the movie coming out next year. Pad, what was your thoughts on Fandome?
Fandome last year was definitely a very well put together event and definitely worth the hype it lived up to. You know, it was a little confusing at first because first it was like all one day and then it was 2 days. And like Rich said, there was multiple sites. But last year, coming off of the heels of, San Diego Comic-Con and what they tried to put together, which wasn't the best foot forward, but they were the first one out the gate. So, hey, you got to stumble before you can run.
Yeah, come some slack.
Fandome definitely came in and was like, hey, listen, here's how you do an online event, and it definitely came through, made a lot of hype and was very exciting. So I'm interested to see if it can live up to what they did the first year. Maybe even exceed it. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, that's going to be the big X factor, I think.
Let's just be honest. Of course, it's going to live kind of up to it because this is, we're going to go into details about the event, but this is basically, before we go into details, it's going to be a 4-hour event that's just a prequel to the Batman trailer. Yeah. That's all it is.
Pretty much.
We know they're going to drop the first official trailer there, and if they don't, they fail. That's the bottom line. DC pulls a DC if they don't show the Batman trailer at Fandome. Well, that's all they have.
I agree with you. I think that they have to, because if they're not coming with it, and we do have the little preview of what they're announcing that is coming. DC skipped an in-person event for an online event, and I know that this is going to have kind of the same feels of Netflix Tadum, but if they don't come and deliver on this,
I just want to point this out, and I really mean this with all due respect to DC. It reminds me of a certain wrestler. I think his name was, what's his name? Randy Orton. Stupid. And I bet you right now there's a person in charge over there at DC. It's like, oh, we did this. And then watch that Ghostbusters reaction. Because it's been shared around the internet enough.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And hearing now people coming out talking about it, and we're like, man, that could have been us with the Batman trailer. But no, we're going to do it for free on Fandome and not really, monetize this at all.
It's the big X factor, like I say, that they have to really deliver this. Because when you pass on an event like a New York Comic Con, I think there's a lot of pressure on you to deliver. Now, granted, they have a heavy slate of stuff coming that they've announced. They're keeping a lot of stuff close to the vest, too. But for them, if you're going to miss an in-person event, especially the first one since we've been living in the pandemic era.
First major one.
Thank you, Pat. You really got to come with something. And as Pat's going to be reading off the lineup of what's coming, is he really going to be delivering and measuring up? Like, what's our vibe off this?
Yeah, so reading off of a list courtesy of comicbook.com, I'm not going to go through everything because, let's face it, it's a real small scroll bar. We'd be here all day, but this is some of the major stuff. And this is in alphabetical order, so I'm not slighting any franchise or any character or anything like that. First one they got on the list is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Of course, this is the sequel to 2018's Aquaman film, and began filming earlier this summer, so maybe we'll get some behind-the-scenes look type of action. James Wan is returning to direct. You do have Jason Momoa returning as Aquaman, Patrick Wilson as Orm, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Black Manta, Amber Heard as Mara, and then you've got Game of Thrones alum Pilu Asbayak has also joined the cast in an unknown role.
What's your feelings on Aquaman 2, Rich?
I mean, I liked Aquaman 1. I don't know. I'm still upset that they're not doing the Black Manta spinoff,
Right.
Because they ditched that. Although after seeing *Malignant*, I'm not trusting James Wan anymore either. So I'm a little on the fence about this one. I think it should be fine. Let's put it that way. But like I said, after *Malignant*, I'm James Wan. The luster might be gone. I'm just going to throw that out there. Finally, I feel like he's done something that wasn't so great. So let's see how he can bounce back.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be interesting. I think the success of the first one really took people off guard, but you took a lot from the Aquaman mythos and put that in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what else would you have for a sequel unless it's all him versus Black Manta?
Also, dare I say, them with this stance of leaning into the controversy there with Amber Heard a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good portion of the fan base that wanted her gone.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, it
is what it is.
It is what it is. I'm not here to judge what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that between the fact of James Wan's last movie was not the greatest and the Amber Heard controversy, I don't know. They're already getting a stacked deck against them. And of course, let's be honest, the flop that was Wonder Woman 84.
And sequels for movies are hard to do.
Yeah, that's the whole point, especially with Aquaman 2, who, let's face it, not exactly a top-tier popular hero.
I was going to say, do you really think about this? If it wasn't for Venom, Let There Be Carnage, Wonder Woman 84 would be the worst superhero movie in the pandemic.
It's not wrong.
Wow. I did not think about that, but you're right, though.
Until I just put it in that perspective.
Yeah.
It's not wrong.
And I that's 100. Get at me if you don't believe that. That's true.
No, that's facts.
And I mean, even Black Widow was better because I was more entertained by Black Widow than I was Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, I agree with you on
I
that.
agree with you there.
Going into a big sequel, and mind you, I was loving I loved the first Wonder Woman movie. I'm just saying, DC's a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be very leery of this, but I can't wait to hear the news. I would like to hear what it's about. I would love to say that you can't expect a teaser, but we didn't expect a teaser from the Batman last year. You never know. They could throw a teaser out at us and get you even more hyped about it, so we'll find out.
That's true. For me, I'm interested to see it. Like I said, sequels are always hard to do. Can you capture the fun that was the first one? Can you build off of it? So I'm interested to see what they got. I'll reserve judgment until I see the movie, but I'm hoping we see something. Maybe if it's not even behind the scenes, maybe like a small teaser trailer thing of like what you got together. Who knows?
I'd be excited to see that.
Yeah.
Next up
is, of course, The Batman. Of course, it's directed by Matt Reeves. Broke the internet with the first trailer last year, as we mentioned. And it is confirmed that they will be bringing a second trailer to this year's proceedings. And, of course, if you forget, it is co-written and directed by Matt Reeves. Robert Pattinson will don the cowl as Batman. Colin Farrell is donning the suit, I guess you could say, as Penguin. Paul Dano is the Riddler. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. Peter Skarsgård as Gil Coulson. Jamie Lawson as Bella Real, Barry Cogan as Officer Stanley Merkel, and Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth.
This is what I'm here for. This is the only reason I'm tuning in. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
This is the literal. I've seen some of the other stuff on the list, and we're going to go over more of it, but this is the reason to tune into it, to watch this, because I feel like this is the moment I'm waiting for, because what is it? March can't get here soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah.
It's March.
Yeah.
Still slated for March.
Yeah.
Pad, your thoughts?
Definitely excited for this. Obviously, the first trailer was incredible, but we really didn't get a whole lot to go off of what the plot's going to be. I don't want the full plot spoiled, but just give me a little tidbits, we'll get to it in the next segment, but you think about the Bond trailers that were coming out for the entire 2 years it was supposed to come out. All we really got was stuff from the opening part of the movie. If you go about that route with it, I'm all right with that.
As soon as I hear the first Nirvana chord, I'm in.
Oh yeah.
That's all I got to say about this. Sign me up. I agree with Rich. This is what I'm here for. I just hope for their sake they don't kick off with this at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
And here's the other thing I want to say. I do not want to see more Paul Dano.
I agree with you.
That is the one thing I do not want to see. They did a good job of shadowing it, and I want to keep it that way. because I think that is the best ace up their sleeve, and I hope they don't mess that up, because the fact that they've done something very unique and interesting with the Riddler is the best thing that you can keep in your back pocket right now, in my opinion. And I have that fear. I have the fear that it's going to be all Riddler all the time in this trailer. And I'm kind of like, please don't blow that. Because I'm with Pat. Don't give me too much. Give me just a little piece. And don't give me much more, because I want to be in the dark as much as I can about that, because I'm already intrigued. Do not ruin the intrigue.
The only thing I want to see from the Riddler in this is do a little thing at the end, where you can have it, fade to black, and then just hear him and doing his Riddler voice. Riddle me this, and then show the date, and that's all you need to do.
I'm good with that.
See, I'm good with something like that, but like I said, I just have this fear that they're going to go all Riddler all the time, and you're just going to be like, no, leave it be, let it be intriguing.
Yeah. Next up, I've got to mention this because this should be amazing. Batman Caped Crusader. This is the new HBO Max animated series that was announced earlier this year. Involved in this is some dude named Bruce Timm. So if you've never heard that name, he was involved with Batman the Animated Series. Also involved is director-producer J.J. Abrams. Also Matt Reeves, who is directing the Batman. So not really much known about this, but you got Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves involved. Yo, I'm in.
I'm a huge Batman fan. I have a Batman tattoo on my leg. So anything Batman, of course, I'm here for. I'm absolutely here for this one as well. Not as excited for it as the Batman trailer, but I am still super stoked to find out, because hopefully they give us a little more. I don't want even, and in this case, I don't want to know a ton. I just want to know what it's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just give me the basic synopsis and let it run. Don't give me too much, but I just want to know what the synopsis is going to be.
I'm here for it. You got those heavy hitters behind it? Sign me up.
Absolutely. Next up, we got Black Adam. Of course, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the long-awaited appearance in the DC universe. It'll be the origin story behind the anti-hero. It'll also feature, the Justice Society of America. The film is directed by Jean Colette Serra, also Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher, Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone, Sarah Sahai as Adriana Tomaz, and Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. Listen, it's been confirmed that he's going to be Black Adam for since I've been in diapers. It feels like. I am super excited for this. I believe they're already filming, if not done filming.
I think they're done.
The Rock is so busy these damn days, it's hard to keep track. I'm hoping to see something of this film, because we've had teases of him in the suit and teases of him with the shaved head. I want to see the full goddamn thing, please.
I'm with you there, but I'm going to take this a step further. I think he's the reason they weren't at New York Comic Con. I think he didn't want to get upstanded by John Cena.
Ooh.
That's right. Remember, Danhausen even had a picture with John Cena.
This is true.
So I just want to throw that out there. But no. In all seriousness, yeah, I think we've been it has felt like forever since this announcement. It seems like forever since the announcement that they were filming. This has to be done. Give me a trailer or something. At this point in juncture, I'm going to be honest with you, with Black Adam, I'm at the shit or get off the pot level with Black Adam. Yeah. Give me something or just forget about it at this point, which I think is a really bad place to be, and I don't think I'm the only one that's there.
No, I'm with you there. I mean, I just want to see at least a teaser trailer, him in costume. That's all I'm asking for. I don't need to see more. Like, if I see the JSA, I'll mark out because I'm a JSA fan, but I don't need it for this trailer. Mm-hmm. I just need a good 30 seconds and him coming out, maybe a bolt of lightning, and there he is. Boom, done.
And I need the concrete date now, because I know that there's a tentative one, but that's been pushed back twice.
Yeah.
So I need the concrete date and that's what you need to announce. And if not, you know what? And I would, do it early. What are you waiting for? If it's done, what are you waiting for? Seriously.
I think it's just a matter of scheduling with his schedule.
Could be.
For promotion and such.
Could be.
Yeah, because I believe it's under his company too. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, his production company.
The $7 one.
Yeah, I believe so.
Strike while the iron's hot, man.
I believe so.
I agree. And I think another movie that needs to strike while it's hot, lightning pun intended, is The Flash.
Yeah.
Now, we have heard about this movie for how long now?
20 years.
And this is the Spider-Man, No Way Home. Everybody that has ever been made into a DC product is in this movie.
I'll just say I'm reading off of the Wikipedia page for this film, and after you get the blurb about it's based on, developed by, yada, yada, yada. Quote, development of a film on The Flash began by 2004.
Yeah.
So 2004, we're sitting here in 2021, do the math.
Yeah, I'm going to just go on there. This is there's a series on Shudder, the horror streaming service, and it's called Cursed Films. There you go.
Yeah,
this is it. This is the Cursed Film.
Well, there's been so much rewriting and recasting and everything under the sun about this. I remember Grant Morrison was tagged to this project at one point, too.
Yeah, I remember that.
That is now, we've seen the teaser art. We've seen the logo.
We know they're filming.
We know that it's filming. We know it's allegedly connected with Flashpoint. Until I see a trailer, I'm not buying anything. I think right now there's so much involved with it that for this trailer to really hit, I got to see Michael Keaton as Batman.
Yeah.
I need to see that in this film.
Allegedly, the suit still fits.
Yep. And if we see Ben Affleck in this too, because allegedly he's tagged with this as well, that's all I really want to see. Like, if you're going to try doing your own Flashpoint / Crisis on Infinite Earths movie style, okay, give me something that I will say, okay, this movie has been in purgatory for how long? We're now in development.
Yeah.
There's footage filmed. Is this really worth the hype?
I feel like you have to show something, even if it's akin to like what they did with the Batman last year, where they said only 25% of the movie is filmed. Listen, 25% of that movie was filmed, and you still got together a couple, like it was a minute and a half, 2-minute trailer. This movie is filming. You can put something together, because I think this is, again, one of those movies that you need to show something just so we all can believe, okay, this is actually happening, and I'm not just having like this weird hallucination of these set photos.
Yeah.
By the way, how DC is this Flash movie in this situation? So let me take you guys back to a little while ago. Remember when Batman v Superman first came out?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What came out a month before it? Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Civil War.
Civil War.
So at the crux of this story, it's about two superheroes fighting each other, right?
Yeah.
In both movies.
Yep.
And, of course, Marvel did it better. Here we go again, because they've waited so long on The Flash that now they're doing Flashpoint, which is kind of like the multiverse, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
And we're going to get Spider-Man No Way Home in December. So once again, no matter when this movie comes out, it's going to be compared because of that to the Spider-Man film. And let's be honest, Marvel always does it better. And they could have been way ahead of the curve and not gotten compared in hindsight to it. So it's kind of like one of those, let's botch shit until we can't botch it no more. And that's what I expect from DC, unfortunately.
Well, like you touched upon, I mean, their track record is not exactly 100.
No.
And we need to see something as a fan base to really justify the delays in this film, because of Flash. Listen, we've always said the TV show until these most recent seasons was probably the best DC adaptation on media.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And obviously, going into their 8th season, the Flash, we're kind of really waiting to see what's going to happen here. I believe they're going to have something to do with Fandome as well for the show. But for the movie, listen, there's been so much je ne sais quoi, if we will.
I mean, I've got some hope for the movie, and maybe this is just fool's hope, but, you know, directing it, you've got a gentleman by the name of Andy Muschietti, who directed both of the most recent It films, you know, and then also writing the film is a woman by the name of Christina Hodson, who did write the Birds of Prey film, which was pretty good in and of itself. But I look at this and going, you know, I kind of look at it as the Harrison Ford returning to Star Wars kind of method, where I never thought if they ever did another Star Wars film in the right timeline, you know, that Harrison Ford would ever come back to Star Wars, and yet they did. Mm-hmm. The fact that they got Michael Keaton to come back and don the cowl again, and you can't tell me it's out of some, like, oh, nostalgia trip, like, oh, you know what, I want to do it one more time. But, like, no, they went to him, they pitched it to him hard, and he read the whole script and went, no, this is really cool, I want to do this. The fact that they got Ben Affleck, whose opinion on playing the role and donning the cowl is very well documented about how he feels and how he felt during his time as Batman. So the fact that they got those two guys to come back, and Affleck has even been in articles, you know, the last week or so saying that it really reinvigorated him playing the role again, you know, in The Flash and everything. I've got some optimistic hope that it won't suck.
Well, that's all you can have at this stage.
Also, Tamura Morrison is in the goddamn movie. Boba Fett himself, you know,
Yeah.
Jango Fett, Boba Fett himself, playing Tom Curry. Like, yo, give it to me.
Well, I'm not disagreeing that they have great things, but it's just DC. By the way, what should worry you is not that Muschietti's directing. It should worry you that he's the 4th director attached to this project.
Yeah.
True.
Which that's the problem. I mean, maybe if anybody's going to make a great movie, it's going to be him, because his track record is pretty damn good, especially in the horror realm. I understand this is not the horror realm, but superheroes, horror, it's very close.
It's very close. So, and like I say, that's going to be the one that I think is going to have more eyes questioning everything going on with it because the unfortunate mystique of the film.
We'll say the fact that you've been in development for like going on 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the only other film projects we know that have been announced is going to be the Legion of Super Pets. That's the animated one with all the voices.
Oh, yeah, that's a crazy cast.
Yeah, which, I mean, the casting on that is just out of control. And just the fact that we have a League of Super Pets.
I was going to say, I'm in for that.
Yeah.
That's got the greatest voice. Well, here's the problem. That is going to be a super expensive budget with everybody that they have in that voice acting. Because I know Kevin Hart is in it.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock is in it. There's a ton. I know that Pat's looking it up now. That there is a ton of people attached to this movie. I'm wondering if it was super smart. Because here's what I'm saying. There's a lot of great voice actors out there, and you could have gone at a fraction of the budget, and if the movie was good, it would still be great. And DC animated is usually top notch.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to throw that out there. So the fact that they inflated the budget, I don't know, but I'm excited to see this because of the budget.
All right, so in no particular order, you've got Keanu Reeves, Dwayne Johnson, voicing Crypto, John Krasinski, Kate McKinnon, Kevin Hart, Diego Luna, Jamila Jamil. Let's see, anybody else recognize? Because I'm just on the top cast list here. No, Diego Luna, you got Vanessa Bayer, Mark Maron as Lex Luthor, Natasha Lyonne. So there are definitely some heavy hitter names in this, just in Keanu Reeves and Dwayne Johnson alone.
Well, I think if you're going to try to do the Justice League of Animation, I mean, you got to go for heavy hitters. I get what you're saying though about the budget. I mean, that's a very expensive voice acting class right there.
Yeah. Whereas you could have gone with like experienced voice actors and gone, fraction. And just had the rock star.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's pretty much everybody cares. And Kevin Hart. I would have done Kevin Hart, too.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason, because if you have The Rock, you have to have Kevin Hart. I'm curious to see what Kevin Hart is going to play in the Black Adam movie, because I think it's a big mistake if he's not in the movie. Because you have to have that chemistry no matter what. Wherever The Rock goes, we need to see. By the way, I'm going to make it now. I don't care if DC, Marvel, Warner Brothers, Sony, whoever. Get on making me the Twins remake with The Rock and Kevin Hart. Get on it, Hollywood.
I'm there for it. I am definitely there for it. The other one, movie news, and we don't have a lot of information. We'll probably see a trailer for is the Shazam sequel, Fury of the Gods.
Yep.
So we know that is filming right now. If it's not already done.
Which is weird because it's not slated to come out, if correct me if I'm wrong, until the end of 2022, beginning of 2023.
Yeah, it's kind of on
It's done filming.
Oh, it is done filming. Okay.
According to cinemablend.com in an article dated August 31st, Shazam 2 has wrapped filming.
See, that one really flew under the radar. Like, we did not hear anything coming out of that.
I enjoyed the first one.
I love the first one.
I enjoyed the first one.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the first one. The first one's just fun. Like, I think if anybody went in there with any serious expectation, you'd never read Shazam before. So you kind of need to lower the bar and just enjoy being at the theater. Like, not everything needs to be Snyderverse.
No.
Which I'm curious if we're going to see anything. I have not heard that we're getting anything Snyderverse.
No.
Like a Justice League retrospective at Fandome yet. So, but we'll have to see. I can imagine the Snyder faith will be on Twitter, though, that Saturday, though.
They never fail to.
Oh, no, I'm sure.
Dude, the best part about that is they're going to be crapping all over everything.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that DC created just by not... whoever's in charge of their PR should have been fired a long time ago. You don't say never. You just say, maybe we'll work it out. It's not in the cards right now, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Instead, you just pissed off the internet. And trust me, you'll see them on Twitter. Don't worry.
Oh, they'll be on full force this week on social, definitely. TV show wise, you're probably going to see a little more updates. I know Batwoman is coming back this week. I was actually going to save that for one shots. So definitely see some hype for the new season coming out. I'm really going to try checking that out. I definitely like how the last season ended.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to see what they're bringing for Poison Ivy, I believe is going to be in the season. So I cannot wait to check that out.
Superman and Lois.
Yep, Superman and Lois. So we'll probably get a teaser for season 2. We're big fans here at the ODPH for that show. And obviously Supergirl will be winding down on November 9th will be the last episode. So probably we might get that retrospective that we thought we were going to get at New York Comic Con, but we'll get it here with the cast.
Could be.
So I can imagine that. And obviously everything coming streaming-wise. Doom Patrol has been on fire since its return. Titans is Titans. And then, obviously, the biggest show coming to HBO Max, I think, is John Cena's Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll probably see maybe a little more footage from that show coming.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
I mean, you can't see him, but you'll see something about the show.
Yeah, exactly. Well played. And I imagine we're going to see, just to wrap it up with, we will see some video game news.
Probably.
I believe that if I read correctly, Ed Boon will be in attendance.
Uh-huh.
And if you know who he's connected to,
Mortal Kombat.
give
Another
me
Realm Studios. But here's the thing. The best part about that is we already know Injustice 3 is coming. So,
Yes.
that one, I don't understand why they didn't keep that one under wraps until Fandome. That was the weird one.
I don't know. I mean, unless they're going to be doing something for the animated movie, I would love it, though, if we have a video game release date.
Yes.
To follow up. Like, we do the trailer, and then, boom, here's when the game's coming.
You know what? You get real sneaky. You do the trailer for the animated movie, because we know that's coming. You do, or at least a teaser or something. And then you just sneak the video game in after. Just to be kind of funny.
Oh, one more thing, by the way.
Yeah, I'm down for it. Give me that.
Because, like I said, we know it's coming because, of course, somehow they leaked that early instead of holding that close to the vest for the con.
Well, that was an announcement, God, I want to say before we did live stream for The Cure the first time. So, like, they said it was coming. It just kept getting pushed back.
Yeah, but they also leaked it. This what was it? 2 weeks ago now.
Something
when the opening character list came out.
Hmm.
They basically had the opening character list came out, and it was really weird because you could tell it was one of those times where it was a leak that was from them.
Yeah.
So like it was quote unquote leaked, but it came from them, and I think it was the first batch of DLC in the initial characters that'll be part of the game. And I'm like, why didn't you just keep that till Fandome? Because you could have just shown the pictures. You didn't have to show the video. And I know you have to have mock-ups for the characters already. So you could have just shown some of those, which we may still get to see. Don't get me wrong, but that's all I'm saying.
There's going to be so much content going on this weekend. I guess I would say get ready if you're a DC fan. We gave you our picks. Final thoughts on Fandome before we wrap up?
I'm going to be tuning in mostly off the hype for the Batman trailer that we know we're going to get. And if they fail us, then, we riot. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with some of the other stuff. I'm intrigued to see anything that they might show for the Peacemaker show. We know that's right around the corner. And, of course, anything Injustice I'm there for. And I also want to know about this animated Batman show coming to HBO Max. So, there's a few things that I'm really on and everything else is kind of it's there and I'll check it out. But it's kind of short because it's, 4 hours you said?
It's 4 hours.
So it's kind of short. But, hey, I'm here for it.
Yeah, like I say, it's going to be in the same vein of Netflix to Dumb. Like, that was moving very quickly,
Yeah.
so that's a good thing about it. But, yeah, it feels very short. Pat, what you got?
I'm going to be busy all weekend, so I won't be able to tune in for much of it, but I'll be excited to see the clips and stuff online.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I'm going to be jumping in a little late, but I am excited to see the new Batman trailer. I'm hoping we see some more streaming news. In fact, I would love to see something about the Green Lantern show that's supposed to be coming to HBO Max. I know that we've had at least one casting, but we haven't had a lot. So I kind of want to see some more about that. And maybe some of the other shows that are going to be coming out, too, on the CW. Like I said, Superman and Lois, I hope we get a Season 2 trailer. And then, obviously, give me my Injustice and give it to me now. I need to see this. More information on DC Fandome, dcfandome.com. We gave you our takes. Now we want to hear yours. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPHpod, and hashtag 3FNpod. Definitely talk to Rich about this as well. What is your thoughts going into DC Fandome 2021? We want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, my name is JT.
What's up, everyone? I'm Darren.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Josh.
Hey guys, I'm Christian.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Dominic, and we're the East Coast Avengers.
We're a group of 5 friends who get together weekly and talk about everything that's going on in the nerd universe.
Whether you're a fan of Marvel, DC, Star Wars, video games, comics, or anything else nerdy that you can think of, we're the podcast for you.
You can find us on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or whatever streaming platform you use to listen to your favorite podcasts on.
You can also catch us on our YouTube channel where we release tons of content such as vlogs, unboxings, TV and movie recaps, and trailer reactions.
So if those things sound good to you, then check out the East Coast Avengers podcast. We hope you enjoy.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast with Rich from 3FN in the house. And not only did we go tour New York City and New York Comic Con this weekend, but we also had to go hit the movie theaters and check out a movie that Pat has had circled on the calendar for weeks, same as Rich. and it was the swan song to Daniel Craig as Bond, James Bond.
Uh-huh.
So we all went to go check out No Time to Die.
Vodka martinis not included.
Yes. So we are going to be talking some spoilers on the latest James Bond film, so we have given you that fair warning. After we get done with the countdown, we go deep diving, so you have been warned. Pause where you need to, because here we go in 3, 2, 1. Pad. What did you think?
I thought it was a very good film. It was a very good way to end Bond, Daniel Craig's run as Bond. Personally, my favorite James Bond. And probably the most grounded of the Bond franchise. They definitely took some risks, and I was happy that they took those risks because it wasn't your stereotypical Bond movie. But I thought it paid out very well, and it was a very good swan song.
Rich, your thoughts?
I was very impressed with the movie. It was definitely one of the better Bond films in my estimate. I think that there was a lot of cool things it did, and I thought that the way that they ended the movie was super ballsy. Mm-hmm. That was my initial take there. So I love this movie. It's one of my favorites. Just throwing it out there.
Well, this movie definitely lived up to the hype, in my opinion. That we knew with Daniel Craig going into this role, we weren't sure what we were going to get, because obviously to bring him back after being one of the more longer running James Bonds in the franchise, we had a lot of high expectations. And obviously he has been, is it fair to say he's been polarizing in the role?
To a certain degree, definitely from the outset that, when he was first cast, I remember there being headlines of like, oh my God, the new Bond actor is blonde. And people just absolutely losing their shit to loving it with Casino Royale, to the very polarizing Quantum of Solace, to loving the shit out of Skyfall and praising the hell out of that, to the point where, Adele, who sang the theme for Skyfall, ended up on the Oscars singing the song, which doesn't happen all that often, to the polarizing Spectre, to now you have this. So yeah, no, it's definitely been polarizing.
It definitely has, and I think that he's ran with it. I've always enjoyed him being Bond. I've never had an issue with it. Like I say, coming off the heels of Pierce Brosnan, we weren't really sure what to get, and obviously his first time being in Casino Royale definitely set the bar pretty high, and we've had some 4 great films after that. So obviously walking into this one and kind of seeing how they were going to wrap this up for him was the big X factor. Obviously with everything going on, the film had been pushed back. We've seen a lot of trailers. But I know you two are the big Bond fans in the room, so Pat, why don't you walk us through this here?
Yeah, so the interesting thing with this film and kind of this run of Bond films is it's been unlike any other run for any of the other actors, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Brosnan, and even the one film George Lazenby did, just because while there have always been some large movies to come out during those runs, I especially think of Star Wars during Roger Moore's run, movies in the 80s and 90s and everything else. None of them have ever had to deal with kind of the juggernaut that cinematic universes have become, specifically with the Marvel films and the DC films and everything else. The fact that you've had those films come out and kind of dominate our culture and our life, for the Bond films to come out and still kind of have a cohesive, interweaving story, which is something, again, they really haven't done before in the Bond films. I think they handled it very well. And I think they did it very well. And I think it was very interesting to see this movie just because it took, it's been 6 years since we saw the last film, Spectre. It's been 6 years in the film. Bond has taken some time away. After we saw him at the end of Spectre, leaving Blofeld to live and leaving with his love interest, Madeline. It was very good start to the film.
Rich?
Yeah, I thought that it started off pretty well. I mean, let's be honest. This movie was probably one of the most action-packed action flicks you'll ever see.
Yes.
Even if you're not a Bond fan, I would say still go see this movie because as an action movie alone, this is just nonstop action. But it still tells a story. It tells a good story. I heard somebody tell me that they thought the story was predictable, and I'm like, that's fine. It's a Bond film. It's supposed to be predictable.
Yeah.
But I guarantee nobody saw the end coming. But
No.
at the you think you're going to get the happy ending, and you get the not so happy ending, if you will. But I just think overall, if I took anything away from this film, I think it was a really great to hell with good. Really great blend of some comedy, so a lot of great action. And I mean, I don't know if there was a throwaway action scene in this film. I felt like every action scene I watched in this movie was perfect.
No, which
is weird.
Yeah, they definitely broke the mold just because Bond films, especially the Daniel Craig run, are really known for the opening action sequence. I mean, Christ, his opening sequence in Casino Royale, you know, where after you get the black and white version to the run through from the animal fighting ring, it was like a ferret and a cobra snake or something, you know, running through the construction site and the parkour and all, you know, breaking away from that a little bit too. You definitely had a blend of like the groundedness of Bond, but then there were also some kind of one-liners that I remember back from like the Roger Moore or Sean Connery days. I'm like, oh, there it is. There's some comedy we're all used to. You know, but then, like I mentioned, just taking the risks they did.
Oh, they took a ton of risks in this movie. But I will say, like when you're saying the opening was for a Bond film, especially a Daniel Craig Bond film, very cold open. A very, very mean-spirited open, too.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like the nice...
It wasn't like the big action sequence you were expecting. It's kind of like a soft mystery opening that you're like, wait, what the... And I remember sitting there thinking, what the hell is going on? And I didn't mean that in a bad way. I had no idea what was going on.
Think about it. You have a young girl and the mother's murdered in front of her. Like, you're like, wow, they're going dark early. You know, like it's a really dark and stalking film in the beginning. And then you finally, kick into the action sequence. And I love how they did it. And as you know, I love how they opened, of course, with the classic Bond open.
Finally. First film in Daniel Craig's run that they finally did that.
Yes.
Because that's something fans, myself included, have wanted to see.
So they open with the classic Bond open. And then they go to the darker thing, and then we get to a little story, but then into the first major action beat. And then after that, you finally get the actual open to the film, and it was very Daniel Craig run Bond open.
Yes. Oh yeah, the action sequence, you know, driving through the town. I don't think they ever said where they were, but you know, going through that, and this is where I mentioned in the last segment. I've got to give credit to the folks over at MGM and everyone involved with the movie. Every trailer we saw was always the same action sequences, so I figured that was pretty late on in the movie, like middle third, latter third of the movie. No, that's in the goddamn opening of the movie. Like, we really didn't see... We saw bits and glimpses, but it wasn't anything to really diverge or figure out or piece together where it was or when it was taking place. No, most of the action sequences we saw are in the goddamn opening.
I was going to say, I think most of the trailer we saw was in the opening.
Most of the trailer was
there was a couple glimpses. Scenes, but nothing you could put out there. But everything happened in the beginning of the film from the trailers. I will say this also with the actual opening, the opening credits of the film. I did enjoy the Billie Eilish song.
Yeah.
That went along with it. Very different style for her.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So kudos to her as well. But yeah, the movie kicks right in, and I really did not know where it was going to go.
No.
Like you could once again, you could piece together the major beats. Like obviously the little girl is obviously now,
Well, yeah, and the mother's speaking French, but she says Madeline.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, okay, this is Léa Seydoux' character as a girl. Oh, we're finding out what happened to her mother as a kid. And obviously you see the mask and you know it's Rami Malek's character, and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of like the soft introduction of the villain, but it was very good, and the action sequence, one of the better ones they've done. Christ, that motorcycle going up the side of the whatever the hell it was and jumping the funeral line. Holy shit.
Everything they did in Matera, Italy there was out of control. And I mean, it was what you wanted to hit the ground running with, because you came in with, like you touched on, the soft open with Rami Malek's Seraphin hunting down young Madeline's family there. And then you have the whole sequence about being underwater under ice, and it kind of really sets a tone later that you get a payoff with. But then once we kind of speed up to go from Matera to when... Now Bond is getting tracked down by Felix Leiter.
Yep.
That was awesome stuff. Jamaica, 5 years. We jumped 5 years.
Yeah, they do a lot of jumping around too.
And 5 years later, we get James Bond in Jamaica, man.
Yes,
that was awesome.
Of course, that's where the author Ian Fleming is from. So a lot of times you'll see the Bond films return to Jamaica.
Yeah, but it was awesome to see it in this case. Bond's living his best life in Jamaica, but then he gets recruited by the CIA. That's right. I didn't say it wrong. It was the CIA.
The CIA needs help, and they know he's the only guy who can help.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright reprises his role as Felix.
So good.
And he's I think it's just, he goes very under the radar how good he is in this
he really does.
And then we get introduced to the new 007.
Yeah.
Not Bond, just 007. The banter between those two is amazing.
That was really good.
And I love the fact that he was like, what 00 are you? And she's like 007. Doesn't that make you mad? He's just like, no, just a number.
He said that, but you could tell throughout the movie it bugged the piss out of him.
Well, yeah, but it bugs her too, because remember when they reinstate him, and we're jumping ahead. They reinstate him, and they're like, "Oh, he's back as a 00," and she's like, "What number?
Double O what? Double O what?"
And she keeps asking, and they keep blowing her off and not saying. They're like, she's like, 00 what?
Yeah, the banter that Lashana Lynch, who played the new 007, and Daniel Craig had was so on point.
Oh yeah.
Like it just seemed like they knew each other for years.
Oh yeah,
like the back and forth they had. And as Bond is getting recruited in to find this out, and obviously the shadow of Spectre is haunting over everybody.
Yeah,
and he has to go track down Blofeld to really see what's going
Cuba.
on. Yeah, I mean just a scene in Cuba where Blofeld pulls the assassination attempt.
I want to give a shout out before that. I wish I would have seen more of her. The young lady who is the trainee, fresh out of training.
Oh, yeah, for 2 weeks.
2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever she says. And she,
Ana de Armas.
Yes.
Character.
Oh, she was awesome. I would have liked to see a callback to her later in the film. Unfortunately, we don't get that. That is one of my only gripes in this film. I'm not even joking, because I think that was where we got a lot of fun banter between her and Bond, and we also got a really good sense of like, wow, she only trained for 3 weeks allegedly, but she's kicking ass like no other. But yeah, the Spectre stuff, and
there's a meeting like every Spectre member, which doesn't happen that often, and all of a sudden he hears Spectre and he's like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, so he goes in, but obviously due to a little switching around by a scientist, the biochemical nanobites.
They were going to kill Bond with this. He is the guest of honor at Blofeld's birthday party.
Yeah.
So they were going to kill him. He was the guest of honor. They have the spotlight on him, and then they all end up dead.
All the meanwhile, Blofeld is still under lock and key in London, and all the meanwhile, this is all going on. M, played by Ray Fiennes, is shitting his pants back in London because he knows what got stolen. He knows he's responsible for it, and he has to stop it, and he can't.
Yes. So we get taken on the wild ride where Bond is trying to track down Blofeld. Obviously, when you're dealing with biotech weaponry, things get a little crazy.
It's never good. And then when Bond goes to confront him in the jail cell, obviously he runs into Madeline 2 years later after leaving her.
That was the first look between the two of them. That was good. Although by this time, she has now been unwillingly recruited by Serafin to kill Blofeld with the nanotechnology. All she has to do is put it on her skin and then touch him.
Yeah.
And of course, she has cold feet, but not before she gets grabbed by James Bond. So now James Bond unknowingly has the nanotechnology on his hand. So when finally the button gets pushed too far, he chokes the shit out of him.
And they did such a great job of this, because we see her put the spray that was given to her on her wrist and rub it together. And we see them go in the room together, and there's so much tension. And obviously, if you're a longtime fan, Bond and Blofeld, it's as old as time. You know, they do so much that I forgot about that. And I went, holy shit, wait, what happened? How did this happen? Oh, that's right. Back a couple scenes ago, X, Y, and Z happened. So they did a wonderful job of like giving you the clues as to what was going to happen, but then masking it with some stuff that was going on.
And then, of course, he is also at this point in juncture teasing Bond with a secret that he knows that Bond doesn't know.
Yeah.
And that is the first mention of a secret that will come up in a little bit, but it was kind of cool. So he's teasing with that. He pushes all the right buttons. He gets choked. They pull Bond off, and then he dies because of the nanotechnology, because Bond unwillingly kills him.
Well, they also do a bit of a retcon too, because Q is then examining Bond with the nanotech and all that, and he goes, well, it's, bringing up, of course, they said Inspector that, we're, Blofeld and Bond are brothers, blah, blah, blah. And Q goes, and I noticed this, it was a very deliberate line of, well, it's a good thing you're not actually blood related.
Yeah.
Right.
So a bit of changing that back.
But by the way, great line to correct what they needed to correct, by the way. But I also want to point out that with that scene, we also find out for the first time that once you get the nanotechnology on you, it can't wash off.
Yeah.
So if he was to touch anybody else that was related to Blofeld at that moment, DNA-wise, blood-wise, they would die. Mm-hmm. And that for the rest of his life.
It's a wild scenario they played out, but they definitely held up to it throughout the entire film. So as Bond goes trying to track down Madeline, he does come up to a big surprise.
Ooh, yes. Very big surprise that Madeline has a young daughter.
Yes.
About 5 years old. And she just happens to have blue eyes.
Yeah.
And, of course, Bond, the spy that he is like, she's got my eyes.
Yeah, it's not, is it? It's not, is it?
She says, no,
that is
not. She is not your daughter. No, do not worry about it.
Yeah, but obviously everybody knew.
Yeah.
It was like the worst kept secret you could think of.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But during this time, too, Saffron makes his move and kidnaps Madeline and Bond's daughter and takes off to his secret island, just in completely James Bond manner.
Oh, yeah.
How awesome is it that we finally go back to secret layers?
Yes, I marked out for that.
Very, very much with the Dr. No vibes with this layer, too.
Oh, yeah. But
Loved it.
I'm happy with it. So now we have the unlikely couple of now, by the way, former 007, because she asks if Commander Bond
number change
can now return his number to 007. And when he looks at her like, what the hell? She's like, it's just a number. Yeah. So it's kind of like the respect there, and they're going to go to war, the two of them, against an entire island.
Yeah.
And the odds are pretty good. I just want to throw that out there for whatever reason. But when they go there, here's my other problem with the movie. I'm speeding up a little bit, though.
Yeah.
So Saffron's got the daughter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He puts Madeline away. She's imprisoned. He's trying to blind her with a poison thing, which we find out she ends up blinding the one-eyed guy.
Yeah.
His only good eye ends up gone. When we get to the scene where, of course, Bond and Saffron have the first standoff. Here I have the little girl is sitting next to him at he's all Japanese style.
Yeah.
So it's like a nice Japanese style table. They're sitting there, and Bond comes up. They make him just take down all the weapons. Or she hits it, and then they don't even cut to the chase. He's just like, yeah, well, we all know this is your daughter, so I'll tell you what, you can leave with the girl and leave me to do what I want to do, or we can just we'll kill her. He throws a pillow, and his henchmen just blow the pillow out of the sky. Of course, Bond's sticking the Madeline. But my problem with it is, like, the reveal that it's his daughter, which we already knew.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
But the reveal comes just right then and there, like it's a throwaway. Like he's like, yeah, well, it's not even like we don't already know. He already anticipates that he knows. And it's like, but I mean, yes, we all knew and we kind of thought it, but shouldn't the reveal come a little differently? That was one of my slight problems.
I mean, it's Bond. He probably figued, even though
that's what I was going with.
Even though he's a spy, he's smart.
I mean,
he's smarter than all get out. There's no way that her saying, "Oh no, it's not your daughter." Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He knew.
But that leads to the badass. He looks like he's begging for forgiveness. No, he's just pulling out another gun and he lays waste to every guard in that room.
Yeah.
In about a second.
That was good.
It's a cool thing, and then Saffron takes off, and then, I mean, this had to be, like, my only gripe with the film.
Oh.
Yeah.
This one is,
I think this is most people's gripe.
Because, like, Saffron is sitting there, and the girl is fighting off because, obviously, she does not want to go with him, and then he's like, well, if you want to go.
Just mention, she drops her doo-doo.
Yes.
That's her little doll.
Yep.
Yes, the doll's name is doo-doo. Don't ask. But, yeah, she bites him, and then...
Yeah, he goes, well, if you want to go, go. And she takes off.
Yeah.
Well, it's not great, but it is a funny scene in essence, and I don't know if it's supposed to be funny because he's like, well, you can either be safe with me, or if you want to go, just go. And she just like looks and stops for a minute, and she turns around and just wanders off.
Yeah.
Only thing, it was weird for me, and it didn't sit well with me and being a longtime Bond fan. The only thing I can file it under is just it was there to kind of illustrate that, like, not how he, the villain wasn't all there. That just he does stuff at the drop of a hat and on a whim. They're like, oh, hey, I could take you, but you know what? Just leave.
I get it, but here's my problem. The only problem I had with it is I felt like it was played for comedy a little bit because of the way it was shot.
Yeah.
And it just was like, this is not the time for comedy. That was like one of because they look at her and then she pauses for a minute before she wanders off. So that's kind of funny in its own. And then they look at him and he kind of makes the face, like, whatever.
And all the meanwhile this is going on, we have the diplomatic tensions going on because the island they're on is a disputed island between the countries of Russia and Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That they know what's on the island, that it's this nanotech, that'll kill. Like they start running rough estimates, and it's like going to kill billions of people. That they're like, we need to destroy this island so that nothing can come out of it. There just happens to be a British destroyer ship in the area that can shoot missiles and destroy the island, but they're like, listen, that's going to set off the Russians and the Japanese. They're going to want answers. What do we do? Just ignore the call. Don't answer them. So all the meanwhile, this is going on. You've got a British destroyer ship in disputed waters with the Russians and Japanese going, what the fuck are you doing?
And on top of this, now we find that they have to open up the blast doors.
Yeah.
Because it won't destroy the island unless they open the blast doors.
What did Q say? Q said that, like, you've got to open the blast doors or else it'll bounce off the top of them like a trampoline.
Yep.
Yes.
So all the while,
and we got the family reunion.
Yeah, we get the family reunion, and Bond gets everybody away safely, but he has to go back because...
Don't skip over it. We find out that this little liquid that these people have been in is fucking some kind of acid the whole time. Because some guard goes into it. And then we get finally the greatest payoff because the doctor, he's a little asshole. And nobody likes him.
No.
And she finally pisses off the new 007, and she's like, you know what? It's time for you to die. And just kicks him in.
We don't need you anymore. Well, again, call back to Dr. No.
Yep, and just kicks him in. Goodbye. And it was awesome. But yes, and now he sends him off safely.
Yeah, he sends him off safely, but he has to go back because something has triggered the silos to start shutting.
The doors
again.
are closing.
Yeah, so he has to go back. And then he goes and picks up the bunny that's on the ground. And then Saffron...
but we missed the first part. Before that, when he opens the doors, because he sends them away and then goes and opens the doors. And then, as he's leaving,
that's right.
He finds the doll. But when he goes up initially and there's the badass fight scene for him to get up to the silo, the control room, the best part is like somebody drops a grenade. He picks the grenade up, he throws it up, and it explodes. And then all of a sudden, 6 more grenades drop to the ground.
Toss this one.
It was hilarious, and then he dives behind something. But so after he opens the doors, he finds he's on his way to leave the island. He finds the doll. When he finds the doll, the doors are getting reclosed because that's when we're going to get the standoff.
Yeah, because during that time, I forgot about the stairwell battle because it reminded me too much of like the Marvel Netflix shows when they're all fighting in a hallway. It's the one camera shot as they're going up there.
Yeah, but that grenade scene is amazing.
The grenade scene is great though. You're right. But as he goes up there, he finds the stuffed doll and gets shot for his trouble. And then Saffron and him are kind of having the final standoff.
Dude, the most brutal arm snap in the history of fucking movies.
Yeah.
Dude, Saffron's arm is like completely backwards. But he gets the last laugh because how he was controlling Madeline is he had this little vial or little keychain kind of thing that had the nanotech that was to her DNA. And in the ensuing battle, he smashes it and pierces Bond with it.
Yeah.
So he then has the greatest villain speech of all time, by the way. Rami Malek, amazing as a villain.
Oh, fantastic.
And in his speech, while he's sitting there with this horribly broken arm in the water, knowing that there's no way that he's walking out alive, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, listen, I spent my life alone, now you will too. I took everything, you might kill me here, but I've taken everything from you because now you can never touch the ones you love again, or else if you touch them, they will die. He was like, so, whatever. And Bond, of course, being badass at the moment, he pulls the gun out of the water, looks at him,
shoots.
He says something, and he just fires a couple shots in his head. I loved it.
Yeah.
But then we get to the emotional part of the movie, and where I said they had the most balls.
Yeah.
Because in my estimate, this was great. So he starts to climb to reopen the doors. He's running out of time. Q keeps telling him, hey, just get out of there. You're running out of time. And he's like, no, I got to get this done. And he's very whatever. And all of a sudden it dawns on Q like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Because that's the exact line from Q. Oh, no. The nano you got. And he's like, yeah.
Now, mind you, they've already had some stones up to here the size of Everest because, as we forgot to mention, they killed Felix Leiter earlier.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
They killed Felix Leiter. They killed all of Spectre. And then they killed Blofeld, which, mind you, behind the scenes, peek behind Inside Baseball, the rights for Spectre had been in dispute for like 30 some odd years between the company that was doing the non-Bond films and Ian Fleming. So that's why in one of the previous Bond films, they killed him in the opening sequence because, hey, we can't use him. We might as well just... That's why you never see his face. You see the back of him in the bald guy with a cat. You're like, all right, that's clearly Blofeld, but they do enough to avoid the copyright issue. They killed him off. So go 30 years without having him, bring him back finally just to kill him off. So they've already had some stones in this movie.
Yeah. So as he's going up, he says that he wants to just talk to Madeline. So he's kind of talking to her. Of course, she's upset. When this is happening, he already opens the hatches. He climbs to the roof. And, of course, the airstrike is on its way, moments away. They're changing I love yous, if you will.
Yeah.
And then they kill that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean to drop the F-bomb there.
And they leave no room for like, oh, he might have survived. No. He's dead.
They blow the part of the island up.
The missile gets over because the missile from the ship to where target is like 8 or 9 minutes. The missile gets over to the crest of the island, and then it stops and it explodes into like 1,000 other missiles. Not just one big missile, like 1,000.
Mind you, there's multiple of these missiles, yeah, and they explode into thousands.
There's like a couple thousand missiles that drop onto this island to destroy it completely. There's no room. That dude is dead.
Oh, yeah. They kill James Bond at the end of the film. amazingly ballsy. After all the other deaths, as he pointed out, we didn't even forgot about it, all the ballsy deaths. But think about that. They kill James Bond. I know this was the last Daniel Craig movie, but usually you're used to when somebody's leaving, you get the little happy send-off, the happy ending. No, Bond is dead, and you ain't bringing him back.
It's absolutely wild to see, but they left no room for error.
It was the perfect send-off for this era.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's been the most grounded of any of the runs, you know, and I don't think you could do the campy, you know, oh, you're on a raft in the middle of the ocean making out with a girl while you cut the line of the rescue boat tugging you to safety.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't do any of those campy, you know, it can't be like, oh, what is he doing? Oh, he's keeping up the British end of the flag. You know, those sexual innuendos. Like, I don't think that would work for this franchise. That, like, it worked for those time and periods, you know, of the campiness and whatever. But just as grounded and as realistic as these movies have been, Christ, Bond got his you-know-where hit with a goddamn rope in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just the torture scene in Casino Royale. This is the only way you could have done it. And it was brilliant.
It was absolutely brilliant. I mean, even when they had the final send-off with everybody at MI6 and they just kind of had the drink on the table and, like, ready to get back to work. And then you see Madeline talking to her daughter, and let me tell you about a man, Bond, James Bond.
Yeah.
And cue the music.
Cue, you know, We Have All the Time in the World by Duke Ellington, which was perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Such a great movie.
But yeah, no, movie did very well at the box office. This weekend, with the extended weekend here over in the States, grossed $55.2 million. Internationally, it is currently at $259 million for a worldwide total of $314.2 million.
On a $313 million budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so with it being in theaters for like one weekend or something like that. Currently for the year, it is sitting at number 12 for the year, and behind Conjuring, Devil Made Me Do It, Space Jam 2, Cruella, Godzilla vs. Kong, Jungle Cruise, Free Guy, Venom 2, Quiet Place 2, Fast 9, Black Widow, and Shang-Chi.
And I think it's going to move up that list quite a bit.
It's going to get up there real quick.
But,
absolutely.
It's amazing. They made their money back opening weekend in the pandemic with a $313 million budget.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive on the global scale.
Yeah.
To be fair, it did open in the UK on the 30th of September.
Something like that, yeah.
But it's a week in, no matter how you look at it. And it's already made its money back.
Oh, yeah.
I think this movie's perfect.
Yeah.
So where do you rank this all time in the Bonds? Because now this is the 25th film in the franchise.
Yeah. So for me, I'll give you my 25-1 ranking because I did get the James Bond Blu-ray collection minus No Time to Die, obviously, but it did include the other 24. So going from bottom to top, my number 25, I've got On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And listen, I'm going to catch some flack for some of this, but this is my personal list. You can debate me at Meselyn, Meselyn on Twitter. I will more than gladly have these discussions longer with you. But I've got in the last place, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. This, of course, is the one film that George Lazenby is in. Came out in 1969. It's 142 minutes. It's okay. But I just for some reason it just doesn't click with me. It's a good story. It's fine, but just it doesn't click with me. Next up, I've got A View to a Kill. This one from Roger Moore came out in, where's the year? There it is, in 1985. 131 minutes. I believe this was towards the end of. This was Roger Moore's final film as James Bond, and boy, can you tell it. Because there are certain action sequences that take place in Paris where he's jumping off of the Eiffel Tower, and I just don't believe it. Also, this movie drags. It's 131 minutes. It feels like 400 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching this film and thinking, I got to be close to the end of this. Holy shit, I'm only halfway through.
Although it is one of the best theme songs of all time by Duran Duran. Just want to throw that out there.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
It is not one of the best movies, but it is one of the best theme songs.
That theme still slaps.
After that, I've got License to Kill, which from Timothy Dalton, came out in 1989, 133 minutes. Listen, Dalton's good as Bond. Just neither of his movies really sell me. They're okay. He didn't really get necessarily a long run. He only got 2 movies, other one of which coming up soon. After that, I've got From Russia with Love. This was Sean Connery's second foray as James Bond. Came out in 1963. It's 115 minutes. Movie's good. Just for some reason, just had a hard time keeping my attention with it. But it's okay. After that, Thunderball, again, starring Sean Connery. This one came out in 1965. It's 130 minutes. Again, a lot of these lower movies, decent movies, just had a hard time keeping my attention with them. After that, I've got Diamonds Are Forever. Again, Sean Connery. Came out in 1971. This is 120 minutes. This was after On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So this was, Sean Connery took his leave. Lazenby came in, then he came back. Listen, this movie's okay, but directed by Guy Hamilton. You can tell Connery mails it in for like half of this movie. You can tell he's just not into it, and he's like, I'm regretting my choices here. After that, I've got For Your Eyes Only. This one with Roger Moore. Came out in 1981, 127 minutes. Great opening song, if I do say so myself. Love this. I love the opening song. This one directed by John Glenn. This one's really fun. Definitely one of the better Roger Moore ones, if I had to say. Then you've got Live and Let Die, again, directed by Guy Hamilton, Roger Moore. Came out in 1973 and 121 minutes. Also probably the most played Bond theme song in all of time.
That's right.
Listen, turn on your classic rock radio station. You will probably hear this song on radio today. Paul McCartney.
You'll hear it by two different bands.
Yes.
The original, which is in this movie by Wings and Paul McCartney. And then, of course, Guns N' Roses did the remake.
Yep. After that, you've got You Only Live Twice, which was Connery's initial farewell. Obviously, he came back. This one came out in 1967. It's 117 minutes. Got a great opening theme song by Nancy Sinatra. Also, probably the greatest layer in film history. Fight me on that one. Great film. After that, you've got Moonraker, which came out in 1979 with Roger Moore. Runs 126 minutes. This was not the original film that was supposed to come out this year. This one was supposed to be, I forget which one it was, but it was whatever one comes out next. But because of the success of Star Wars, they did a 180 and were like, we need to do the space one first. Definitely a good movie. Also got a pretty good opening theme song. You've got Die Another Day, which is okay. It's better than what I remembered. I remember hating the shit out of this, but it's better than I remembered. This was Pierce Brosnan's final film as Bond. Came out in 2002. Runs 133 minutes. Of course, this has got Halle Berry in it. It's not bad. It's okay. Then I've got The Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton's second one, better than License to Kill, but still so-so. Came out in 1987. It's 131 minutes. Then you've got Quantum of Solace. This was Daniel Craig's second run as James Bond, directed by Mark Foster. Came out in 2008. Runs 106 minutes, so it is the short. Daniel Craig has got both the shortest Bond film of all time and then the longest Bond film of all time. This one actually held up better than I thought it would, because I remember, and maybe this was just, public perception and the internet. Like, I remember seeing the movie and thinking it was okay. And then I'm like, it's kind of shit, but it's better than I remember. It's not the best of Craig's run, as you can clearly tell. After that, I've got The Man with the Golden Gun, directed by Guy Hamilton. This has got Roger Moore in it. It's also got the incredible Christopher Lee playing the villain. Came out in 1974. It's 125 minutes. This one's really great. I love the hell out of this one. Also gave one of the most classic Bond weapons of all time in The Golden Gun. You've got The World Is Not Enough next up on my list with Pierce Brosnan. This one came out in 1999, ran 125 minutes. I'll admit, I had not seen this one until I saw it during my watch through. Enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. The theme song, not really anything special, but definitely a fun watch. After that, I've got Spectre, which of course was Daniel Craig. This was Sam Mendes' second film as director. Came out in 2015. Definitely a good movie. After that, I've got Dr. No, which of course started the whole franchise off. Came out in way back when in 1962, starring Sean Connery. A great film. Franchise wouldn't be what it is without Dr. No. After that, I've got Octopussy. Yes, that is the name of the film. Came out in, where is it? There it is, 1983, with Roger Moore. Great film. Loved it a lot more than I thought I would. Then you've got Spy Who Loved Me with Roger Moore. It came out in 1977. Also got a great theme song. Then I've got Goldeneye.
Yes.
Yeah, Goldeneye.
I've been waiting on this one.
Goldeneye, Pierce Brosnan, Sean Bean. Came out in 1995. Runs 130 minutes. Although, first time I saw this movie, confused the shit out of me why the Soviet Union was still the villains, even though I knew history. I'm like, wait, it's in the 1990s. Why is the Soviet Union still around?
This is the best game for the N64, bar none. Proximity Mines. I will take on anybody still to this day. Anybody who wants them at OD Parlay Hour. We'll make this happen.
Yeah, no, it's a great movie, and the theme song by Tina Turner is still so goddamn good.
No, we're talking the video game. We're talking the Nintendo 64. No,
we're talking the movie here.
No, we're talking the game.
Okay. After that, I've got No Time to Die, of course, which we just talked about. Then I've got Goldfinger, directed by Guy Hamilton, starred Sean Connery. Came out in 1964, 110 minutes. Arguably the greatest Bond theme of all time from Shirley Bassey. Movie's so good. Also introduced us to one of the best henchmen, if not the best henchman of all time, in Oddjob with that lethal hat he would throw.
Yeah.
After that, I've got Casino Royale as my number 2 film. This was Daniel Craig's first film, obviously. Came out in 2006. Runs you 144 minutes. This is a modern Bond. This is a grounded Bond. There's not any of the campy tropes or the wacky hijinks, but you still got, it's probably, if you're going to introduce somebody to Bond, this is a good place to start, just because a lot of the older films are great. There's nothing wrong with them, but just they're dated. It's a little hokey in some places. I mean, there's the one film, it's one of Connery's films where he gets in a fight with a guy in a bathroom, tosses him into a bathtub, and then throws the fan into the bathtub and electrocutes him and kills him, and he just looks and goes, shocking.
Yeah.
To a lot of people nowadays, that'll be a little odd and a little weird, might pull them out of it. But if you want to start somebody with Bond, Casino Royale is probably the place to start. Number 1, you probably see it coming, Skyfall. Sam Mendes is director, Daniel Craig, Javier Bardem is the villain. Came out in 2012, 143 minutes. Probably the best love letter to Bond in recent memory. Everything just from start to finish, it's incredible. You get the awesome reveal of the Aston Martin DB5 making its reappearance, and the classic music, when the car gets revealed, start to finish, it's incredible. I still rewatch it every once in a while to this day. So good.
Solid list, Pad.
Thank you.
I'm not going to give my whole 25 because that's I'll take it to. But I'll tell you my top 6. The only reason I want to get my 6th in is because number 6 is actually GoldenEye. So just to excite you for a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Proximity Mines all day on that game.
But number 5 is Dr. No.
Okay.
Number 4 is actually No Time to Die. Number 3 is Goldfinger. No, and then I have the same 1 and 2, believe it or not, as you, is Casino Royale at 2 and Skyfall at 1. I've seen a lot of lists out there. A lot of people flip those two.
Yeah,
but I think Skyfall is, in my opinion, is a better movie than Casino Royale. Not taking anything away from Casino Royale, but I used to say that my favorite Bond was, of course, Sean Connery. And as you can tell in my top 5, I have 2 Sean Connery films.
Yeah,
but I think it's safe to say Daniel Craig has surpassed him because in my list I have 3 Daniel Craig films. And Spectre is also on my list further on, but I was going to give my top 5, but for you, GoldenEye has one of the most fun endings of all time.
Yes.
With the satellite dish.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. If you've never seen GoldenEye, watch GoldenEye just for the end. And then if you're a Botchamania fan, there is a great Botchamania ending. I wish I knew what number it was, where they did the Road Warrior Hawk.
Oh God!
So it was like Road Warrior Hawk going down for the pin, and then the middle falls and it hits him, and then he's like, and he's back up.
That is incredible.
So now you can relate that to Cody Rhodes.
We'll say if you don't own any of the movies, there is a streaming service called Pluto TV, which is a free streaming service. It's basically like TV. It's got a whole bunch of channels, specific to certain shows. Like there's a Fear Factor channel, there's like a 70s channel, 80s channel. There is a channel on there that is a 007 James Bond channel that is running all 20. I'm not sure if it's all 24, but it's running most of the Bond films in rotation. So just pop that on anytime you can watch a James Bond film.
Also throwing it out there, Paramount Plus has a lot of them as well.
This is true.
Just so that way, if you have Paramount Plus, it's a good way. You can watch, and not all of them, but you can watch a good majority of them. I think the Craig ones, there's only a couple of the Craig ones on Paramount Plus.
If there's ever been a more confusing thing about the Bond franchise, it's the streaming rights are all over the goddamn place.
Oh, yeah. But Paramount Plus does have a good one. Pluto TV is a good idea as well. But also Paramount Plus does have a bunch. Out of the 24, I think they have at least half, if not a little more.
Yeah.
And, of course, you can find everything on Amazon Prime. But you might have to, Prime Video, you might have to pay for it there.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's worth it.
It's absolutely worth it. I mean, Bond is Bond. It's classic. It's vintage. It is timeless. You can't go wrong anywhere with it. I agree with you guys about 1 and 2. That's my 1 and 2 as well. I can just continue ranting about GoldenEye and the greatness that is the Nintendo 64 game, but I will not hold up anybody else about that. We talked a lot about James Bond tonight, and we definitely want to keep that conversation going with you, so definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPHpod, and hashtag 3FNpod. Talk to Rich about it, too, as well. No Time to Die. Was it a great send-off or what for Daniel Craig's time as James Bond? The 25th film is in the theaters right now. Let us know what you think about it. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou.
This is Matt from Sidemen Sounds.
And you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna...
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH Podcast with Rich from 3FN in the house. Pad, what you got for those one-shots?
Got a couple things to talk about. First of which is on November 16th of 2021, there will be a return, which after 2,512 days, or 6 years, 10 months, and 16 days, rising from the ashes of a very poor business decision, and a failed business decision, might I add, because that channel they replaced it with ain't doing shit, and I don't think it's on the air anymore. G4 is finally returning to the airwaves and to our lives. It's already been kind of sort of back, but not in a full-blown sense. It was tweeted today as we recorded the podcast on the @G4TV Twitter account. Just a simple 11/16/2021 in a real quick video. Reading from the article on IGN.com, says in 2021, G4 will launch on not only the channel lineups of Verizon, Fios, Cox, and Xfinity TV, but will also stream on Philo and collaborate with Twitch on a multi-year promotional and commercial partnership through G4's official Twitch channel. Channel-specific content will also be featured on G4's social platform and YouTube. G4 programming is set to be delivered through a first-of-its-kind 24/7 broadcast studio, which looks to also serve as a collaborative workplace and professional esports and gaming environment. G4 Studio is located in Burbank, California, and is designed by Podchaser, the company behind Yankee Stadium, Red Bull HQ, and Esports Stadium Arlington. The official lineup features the return of such classic shows as X-Play and Attack of the Show, alongside new shows like the weekly Esports Comedy Series Boosted. The launch lineup with descriptions from G4 is as follows. I won't give the descriptions, but the lineup is Attack of the Show, which launched Olivia Munn's career, also brought us Kevin Pereira. X-Play, Boosted, which I mentioned, Ninja Warrior, the Japanese version, not the American version.
Yes, it's arrived again.
The ESL Gaming, G4 is partnering with ESL Gaming, the world's leading esports and gaming lifestyle company, to produce and broadcast several primetime esports programming. And then also Dungeons & Dragons Limited Series, coming off the immense success of D&D Live 2021, featuring notable celebrities like Jack Black, Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Smith, Dr. Lupo. G4 will continue its partnership with Wizards of the Coast with an all-new limited-run series to premiere on G4 this fall. The series will follow 4 campaigns with a mix of G4 talent, veteran D&D players, and celebrities for a new generation of D&D fans. I cannot wait for this to come back. G4 was my shit back on when it was on TV. Because listen, this was before Twitch. This was before YouTube live streaming. This is before Twitter. You know, Twitter was kind of at its start when I was watching G4. But it was nothing. The internet was nothing to what it is now for live streaming events. So if I wanted to watch anything about E3, I had to go to G4. You know, if I wanted to find out about gaming reviews, I had to go to G4, you know, with X-Play, Attack of the Show, and all their pop culture news and just some of the fun antics that they used to get into. I cannot wait for this to come back.
I'm excited for this.
I'm super excited, and I also got to throw it out there. Congrats to Xavier Woods, who will be on G4 as well.
Yes, that's a big move for him.
That's awesome there, because he's going to be one of the personalities over there in G4, so I can't wait to see that even further.
Yeah. Then the other thing I got is it was announced while we were at Con, but it definitely caught my eye. After a lot of leaks and a whole bunch of rumors, it was officially confirmed that Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition, is coming out. This comprising of Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. They will be released for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, the Nintendo Switch, and PC via the Rockstar Games launcher. later this year with mobile ports to follow next year. All 3 games will, quote, feature across-the-board upgrades, including graphical improvements and modern gameplay enhancements for all 3 titles, while still maintaining the classic look and feel of the originals. There will be more details come in the coming weeks. They have not, Rockstar has not confirmed if the games will be released as a single package, individual titles, or both. And then, as expected, the existing versions of all 3 games will be removed from digital storefronts in the next week. Rockstar also announced that the games will come to iOS and Android in the first half of 2022. So I'm definitely excited for this because it's been a long time since I played some of those games. It'd be fun to go back at them again.
I just have one fear because they said kind of the original. Are they going to make GTA 1 not just the little like dot guy with a gun and the square cards? Because I'm just hoping that they're going to port that over to like what we know as GTA. That's my only qualm because all the other ones kind of have the right feel to them.
Yeah.
But GTA 1, if you guys are old like me, you will remember that it was the guy. It was bird's eye view. The cars were all square and or rectangles. Squares or rectangles, because depending on the car. Yeah. And then the guy looked just like you could see like a little something out of his hand. And like I said, bird's eye view is never good.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the one's included. I think it's just GTA 3, Vice City, and then San Andreas.
All right.
And then, switching over to my comic picks, this week we've got Avengers issue number 49 coming out this week, where the description reads, World War She-Hulk goes nuclear. War beneath the waves. The Winter Hulk has been sent to Atlantis with a dark mission, and things will get even darker and bloodier if the Russian super assassin Red Widow has her way. But no matter who wins, She-Hulk and the Avengers will be changed forever, and next month it all explodes in Avengers issue number 750.
Damn.
I know.
I did not realize they were up that high already.
Crazy. Then you've also got Batman 89, issue number 3. The Joker, issue number 8. Star Wars The High Republic, The Trail of Shadows, issue number 1 of 5. Then you've also got Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunter, issue number 5 out of 5. So there's a finale going on with War of the Bounty Hunters. And then, last but certainly not least, Superman and the Authority, issue number 4.
Solid list right there, Pad. For me this week, my picks at the comic shop, Power Rangers 12 by Boom Studios. Ryan Parrott is doing this epic setup for a big saga going on between the Mighty Morphin comic and the Power Rangers book. So if you want to get caught up before it really kicks off next month, this is the time to go grab it. Like I said, they're doing very solid work. Francisco Mortarino is on the art for this. And if you're not super into Power Rangers, I would definitely give this book a read because they're doing some really solid work on this book. Like I say, I'm not the biggest fan of the Power Rangers, but I've been fortunate enough to read what they have coming out. Obviously, getting the press release from Boom Studios. Shout out to Boom. It's been great, and it's been a fun read. So I can't recommend that enough. So that's going to be hitting the shops this week. I already mentioned at Comixology Unlimited this week, you definitely want to go get Clear number 1. Scott Snyder's new book he has coming out with Francis Manapul, and it's a sci-fi murder mystery. It looks dope. I can't wait to read this. I'm going to try possibly get this on Parlay Points this week. Power Rangers will be coming out, Power Rangers number 12. And last but certainly not least, hitting the shelves. I preach about this book quite often because I think it's the coolest book on the shelf, bar none. And if you are into James Bond, this is a book you need to go get by Valiant Comics. Ninjak number 4. They're wrapping up the first story arc. Jeff Parker and Javier Pulido have been doing this amazing run with basically mixed James Bond with Batman, and that's what you get with Ninjak.
All right.
It's fantastic. Benny Lobel is also helping on the art for this issue, and this is going to be something, I'm telling you right now, if you want something that has like a very cool retro vibe, like the old school James Bond, this is the book to go get. I can't stress enough, go back, get issues 1, 2, and 3, and get caught up right to 4. It is worth the read, so shout out to Valiant for that as well. That's going to be dropping on Parlay Points this week as well. Rich, what you got for one-shots?
Oh, man. One-shots for me is this week, of course, the big movie, if you will, coming out is the sequel to Halloween 2018. Of course, that is Halloween Kills. That comes out this Friday as you hear this podcast. Myself and Ken M will be going to see it on Thursday because you're doing a guest spot over on the So Wizard podcast.
Yes, next week I'll be on So Wizard. Shout out to Joey and Marcellus. I'll be doing the show with them, reviewing Halloween Kills. So I got to get caught up on the horror genre. Who better to go with than Rich, who will guide me through the ways of Michael Myers?
Yes, this should be. I have high hopes for this. I know that there's some trepidation by certain members of the 607 podcast team. We're looking at you, Spooky Mike C, since he hates everything about 2018, and he's already started his hate for this before it even comes out.
I know he tried talking me out of this.
I'm just gonna throw this out there, like
Kidding, Mike.
Where people are missing and dropping the ball on it is, we've come to a new age of Michael Myers. He's no longer just the stalking shade. He is now slaughtering people. Let's just enjoy the slasher film because, let's be honest, the Michael Myers movies changed over the years anyways, because after this little movie in 1980 came out, it was called, I do believe, Friday the 13th, everything in the slasher world changed. So I appreciate the breath of fresh air. I don't think that the 2018, I'm not one of the people who thought the 2018 movie was the end-all, be-all. We talked about it during the break. The original Halloween in 1978 gets a 9.5 out of 10 on my scale, as far as my critic scale. And 2018, I gave it a solid 6.5. So it's better than average. I still enjoyed the movie, found it very entertaining. And I'm hoping the same this Thursday for us, because we're going to go on premiere night. But it does come out everywhere on Friday. Also, notably, it is on the Peacock. And I want to give a shout-out, because he's hitting us up. He's doing the Lord's work, because as we're recording and going a little long because of New York Comic Con, we got to shout out at Crazy Curtis GAM1, because he's out there live tweeting NXT right now and tagging the OD Parlay Hour at OD Parlay Hour on Twitter and at 3 Fat Nerds Pod on Twitter. So he is doing the Lord's work. So we're going to give him a shout out right here.
Salute to you, sir.
By the way, they opened with Joe Gacy versus Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh, damn.
I know. I was hoping that would be later, but I digress. So thank you, Crazy Curtis, for hooking it up. So I love the fact that, and see, like, he even used the tags. He's using some hashtags.
He's learning, man.
Where we're teaching.
There we go.
We're teaching the young boy
With a tear in my eye, man.
So it's awesome. I had to give him a shout out just for that. I just got that alert while we're sitting here.
Absolutely, and I'll just kind of round it up very, very quickly. We have finally got our Adam Warlock to the MCU. Will Poulter is going to be playing Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. If you're not familiar with the character, Adam Warlock is very much connected to the Infinity Gems, or Infinity Stones as they are. So this is going to be a big move for the MCU. I'm not sure exactly where this goes after Guardians 3, but definitely stay tuned for that. I'm all right with the casting.
I'm good with it. I just wonder at any time, is he going to get his penis bitten by something so it swells up?
See, here's the thing. With James Gunn, I'm saying it's 50-50, because if you've seen We're the Millers, which he starred in.
I have, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm saying it's 50-50 legit.
No regrets.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to point it out there. That was a very funny movie. If you've never seen it, you should see it.
It really is.
It's a really funny movie.
I totally love it. On the Variety article, they do highlight that point right here, that he was bitten on his testicles by a tarantula to quote the article. So, yeah, everybody knows about it. But listen, I'm solid with the casting. I trust James Gunn and everything Feige's doing. So until they screw something up really bad, I got to roll with it. And I got to plug, obviously, this Sunday, Fear the Walking Dead returns to AMC.
There you go.
So if you want that real zombie show, that's the one you check out. Can't stress that enough. We'll be talking about that on next week's ODPH pod. So that all being said, the music that we heard on this edition of the ODPH is that a shout at the robots. They're fantastic people. Pad, where do I go to find out about Shout?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. You go check out the music section. Check out everything going on with them. Tom Jolu, Second Suitor, Floodlands, Yard Party, Brian Wolf out of Austin, Texas. You can find all that great music you hear on the ODPH and, of course, 607 Podcast, because we do have a lot of the artists shared on both shows. So you definitely want to go support them. They're amazing people. Also, while you're at the page, you can go check out the directory, which has links on your favorite podcast platform to the ODPH podcast. So if you want to follow it and you're like, well, I don't listen on this platform, try this one. Trust me, it'll work. You'll be happier for it. You won't miss an episode of content. You can also check out the Classifieds, which has friends of the show, organizational links supporting Black Lives Matter, all the amazing pod groups we are in. Because I say it once, I say it 1,000 times. If you claim you're in a pod group and you're not on Podchaser with your pod group, you're not in a pod group. Just saying. So shout out to the aPODalypse, shout out to the Inner Circle. And since he's in the studio, I feel I'll just let him plug away at 8122productions.com. Tell the people what's going on there.
Oh, yeah. 8122productions.com. Get all your information about the 3 Fat Nerds podcast, all your information about Horror Zone 607, 607 TWS, and more. And there's a lot of things that are shared between the two websites. Links are up for TeePublic, the TeePublic store. Also, we have the links up for Twitch, twitch.tv/607 podcast. We will be returning to doing the 607 TWS live streams next week, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, this upcoming Thursday, before we go see Halloween Kills, we'll be recording a podcast. In podcast, it will go up on the Three Fat Nerds network of podcasting, so check that out as it does every week, but it will be up there exclusively. It'll be a shorter show. We're just going to kind of cover some bases, just to put a show out there for you guys. Also, we were super tired after coming back from New York Comic Con, so we weren't live streaming on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll be making that triumphant return next week, though, just so you guys know. Also, while I'm at it, patreon.com/8122productions for as little as $1 a month. You get a ton of extra bonus content. Listen, you get the Three Fat Nerds podcast early, and you get the uncut, unedited, uncooked edition, which, trust me, it is worth that $1 alone. I'm not just saying it because I'm the one that creates it. I'm saying it because it's hilarious. I don't know how we pull it off each and every week. Also, you get Horror Zone 607, and that is also early and unslashed. And then you get the 2 monthly exclusive podcasts. Of course, that is the I Love Movies, where we dissect movies that we loved in the past. Did they stand the test of time or they not? Some do, some don't. And then the last but certainly not least, the hottest show behind a paywall, Love is Scary, with Dr. Derek and Spooky Mike. And I kind of know what Derek has in store for Spooky Mike this month, but I ain't telling because I know that there's a chance that Mike C listens to the show, and I don't need him to know what Derek has planned for him.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be epic.
It could be almost as good as the time we played that game on the show.
Oh, wow.
Could be.
Wow.
Stay tuned. But with that being said, all that and much more. And once again, we're on all social medias. Just follow us. It's Three Fat Nerds Pod. Throw an @ in front of it if you have to. Like I said, there you go.
And you can find all those links and so much more at odphpodcast.com. That's all we got for this week. Thank you again for Rich from 3FN stopping down.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Later, nerds. ODPH Society.
For the one and only Padawan J.
Guys, pour one out. Smash Mouth, breaking up.
Nah, screw that.
Well,
I'm your host.
Hey, Fred Durst is back, though. So
yeah, exactly.
You take one, you lose one. It's okay.
I'm your host, Ken. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. See you next time.